Kongversation.
I've got a banana out of the sunken ship. Now, to take the Sea of Thieves Banana Challenge.
Hello, and welcome to the Kongversation. I'm Hyle Russell.
Podcast, drums, ah! Oh, sorry, I saw the episode title was Animal, and I was looking forward to talking about Beaker this week, but whatever, I'll give it a go.
I would have also accepted the Pink Floyd album between Wish You Were Here and The Wall.
So you just want me to get all preachy?
Yeah, well, not as preachy as some of the later Roger Waters Floyd albums.
Oh, you mean the classic Dark Side of Trump's Ass?
Oh, yeah. That not
very subtle political message on that one.
Trump is a pig. Whatever could he mean by that? Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he's still got it, dude.
Anyway, yes, this is the Kongversation, and this is a very special episode. Sure, why not? This one is actually kind of stoked my brain fires for this one. We were talking about Diddy Kong Pilot, you and I, Nick, last week. And inevitably, that stoked memories of Donkey Kong Racing. And I was starting to think about Donkey Kong Racing and the whole animal riding mechanic and how just brilliant that notion was. And it really just made me want to talk about the topic at hand this week, which is really, I think, one of the most underappreciated aspects of the Donkey Kong series, but really one of the most crucial. It's
one of the trademarks.
And it's something really like the hardcore fans of the series realize, but it feels like the stewards, either that being late 90s rare or retro, don't really seem to get. But we'll get into this. All right. First of all, we should get to some due diligence. So, are you ready to shill? Are you ready to be the little whore your mom always knew you'd be?
Hey, I gotta make a living somehow, and when you got a body like this, is it wrong?
No, really, I feel like you're taking charge of your body. It's really more empowering that you work the streets the way you do.
When I drive home and I see, crusty meth addict prostitutes on the street, I roll down the window and I go, "You go, girl!"
That's right.
Because, it's just very it rubs off on me.
A lot of things will rub off on you, yes. So, DK Vine is on Patreon. Check us out at dkvine.com/Patreon. We have T-shirts coming out soon for those at the $25 and up tier. And sorry about the price.
Can't beat that.
I think you could beat that, but for our cost analysis, we actually can't beat that right now. So
well, they can't beat that because that's not all.
They're getting everything else with that package. But we'll have exclusive patron T-shirts coming out soon that you won't be able to get on our upcoming merchandise store either. They're going to be only for the patrons at this particular tier. But we also got a lot of other goodies like the Minecraft server for $2 a month, early conversations for $2 a month, the conversation stickers at $1 a month. You got the Kongversation live stream recording sessions. You can join us as we do this live for $5 a month. Those who are with us tonight, listening to us live, got to hear about 25 minutes of nonsense before this episode started because we were.
Hey, my 25-minute Dunkirk review was very good.
No, because half of that was us waiting for you to get back from Dunkirk. So it was just me.
Sorry,
just me talking with the crowd. But we got $10 a month for bumper stickers, lots more. Check it out, dkvine.com/Patreon. Oh, Nick still got some popcorn in his throat.
No, it's seawater, actually.
Oh, wow, that's immersive.
Yeah, really immersive. I saw it on 70mm IMAX 4D, and Christopher Nolan came up with this new technology that whenever something's happening on the screen, you feel it. So they had these little water hoses spraying water.
It's actually just Michael Caine in the corner of the theater hosing you down.
I thought I heard that. I thought someone was just talking about their cocaine, but I guess it was him saying his name. And then Cillian Murphy, whenever he's Irish, so whenever he was on the screen, it spurted alcohol at you. It was really great.
Yeah. DK Vine, we have a forum. Never been a better time to join? Sure. Let's go with that. dkvine.com/forum. We also have social media. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, dkvine.com/Facebook, dkvine.com/Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube, dkvine.com/YouTube.
I'm jumping the gun, but Twitter is my favorite animal, buddy.
Yeah. DK Vine hotline 1-202-630-VINE Vine or 8463 if you're feeling numerical. Here's a jingle. I'll sing the jingle this time. To reach us by cell or landline, call 1-202-630 and a word. Subscribe to the Kongversation on iTunes.
You got the goods.
I know. I have raw talent. I could have been a star, but instead I do this, and that's fine. Rate the Kongversation on iTunes. Tell your friends about the Kongversation. Get Fabio
Tell your enemies
on the Kongversation. If Fabio is one of your friends, please get him on the Kongversation for us. Please. And, of course...
I don't know. I mean, we're talking about animals like squawks and stuff. He might not.
The good thing about, say, Perry is he'll just fly over Fabio's head. So
I think you've made that joke.
I'm sure
before,
I have,
let it slide.
because I only have about a dozen jokes, and I've been doing this for close to 20 years. So yeah, I'm sure I have. Of course, hashtag bring back the spiders, and that will be have a lot more resonance this episode because we really want to see one spider in particular brought back. And
Aragog.
Check out the Sea of...
That's his name, right? I mean,
Check out this...
Was that a incorrect reference?
I'm just trying to power through here, Nick.
I just want to make sure I pronounce the name right. I don't want any of our, Tolkien, or is it Tolkien?
You know what?
Oh,
yeah, I've never... For the longest time, I wasn't sure how to pronounce his name, so I would just refer to him as, like...
I would just call him JR, and everyone thought I was a Dallas fan.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Or a wrestling fan. Good old Jim Ross with his slobber knockers.
Oh, yeah.
So, Sea of Thieves, they have an insider program. It would behoove you and us for you to check it out. It's seaofthieves.com/insider. You can play Sea of Thieves before it even comes out for free. Well, you have to have an Xbox One or Windows 10 capable machine, but for free. And they just had 10,000 new people in the Sea of Thieves technical alpha this last weekend. And
did they do it already?
Yeah, they did.
I'm still not in it.
You're still not in it. I don't know, Nick. I don't know what to tell you.
What's a guy got to do?
I don't know what to tell you, Nick. I'm sorry. But you will get in before the game comes out. Guaranteed.
Okay. All right. I mean, I sell my body on the streets. You hear that, guys? I'll lower the price.
I mean, and hey, you sell your body on the streets, you'll also sell it on the seas.
Yeah, I mean, $25 for a T-shirt. How about $25 for this?
The great thing about Sea of Thieves is, you're out in the ocean, so there's the implication.
The implication of what? Pegging?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally, Robin Beanland. Oh, Robin Beanland. Bicycling across the UK next month for charity. Oh, how noble of him.
He's the Bono of Rare. He's just such a charitable
Except
guy.
you don't want to punch him in the face.
You don't want to, no.
He's been taking some battering and bruisings while training for this. But he's raising money for special effects, and they use video games and technology to improve the lives of the disabled. So
That's better than anything Bono has done.
Well, I don't know. The Africa stuff's pretty important, I guess. I mean...
Oh, you know all of that went into his personal savings so he can dress up like a fly on the weekend or whatever.
Anyway, special effect, yeah. 9 days across the UK bicycling, raising money. So you can go to the justgiving.com page, search for Robin Beanland, and throw some coins his way. And
Where's the balloons?
Well, I don't know if they take Spanish doubloons on justgiving.com. I think they take credit card and PayPal. So
the doubloons of the internet.
Anyway, yeah, Robin Beelan on a bike. So,
what more need we say?
I'm not going to say anymore. I'm moving on to the show topic. So, Nick, let's go back in time. Let's go into my time machine. I built one. I don't know if it works.
Excuse me, Hyle. I'm sorry, but is the person piloting this time machine a British old man with a bow tie or a woman? Because that makes a little bit of a difference.
Oh, he's a man, definitely. I like my doctors I like my Ghostbusters with testicles.
I like my doctors the way I like my women, as men.
You know, how can you have a woman doctor? I mean...
Just doesn't make it... What's going to be next? Woman superhero?
Look, all I'm saying is they start bleeding everywhere, then they need the doctor. And if they're the only doctor there, who's going to help them? It doesn't make any sense. The logic doesn't add up.
You took it too far.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's the worst that can happen? Me become president? So anyway, yeah. Let's go in a time machine piloted by...
Regular Roger Waters over here.
Let's go back to the dawn of the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Or as...
I thought you were going to say Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. I was like, 2 summers ago?
That was 3 summers ago.
Oh, was it that
Wait,
long?
what came first? Dawn or Rise? Because you would think Dawn would come first. Unless, like, they're farmers.
You would
Are the
think
apes
so.
farmers? Wait. Are the
title.
apes redneck Kongs? Because then they're farmers and they get up before the dawn. That...
Wow, it all makes sense. I mean, personally, whenever a new Apes movie comes out, it's a little pretentious, but I just like to say, the circus has come to town. Little thing I like to say.
You could also say that when It comes out in theaters this fall.
You could, although that looks like a flaming pile of horse.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, they're making it... I mean, this is a tangent if ever there was one, but... The scariness of Tim Curry's It is that he looks like a rather nice clown who behaves very
doesn't. He
evilly.
Looks terrifying. I mean, granted...
Well, when he opens his mouth, but I mean, this one looks like he's Hot Topic clown, ICP clown. He's all mugging for the camera with weird, like, shaky cam. I don't know.
He's got damaged
I'm
tattooed
biased.
on his forehead.
Exactly. It was originally going to be a 2-part thing directed by Cary Fukunaga, or whatever his name is, who did True Detective and Sin Nombre and some other stuff. He's like amazing, and I was really looking forward to that because I thought that was going to be such a good combo. But now they're just, I don't know. It seems like they're phoning it in, but I could be wrong. I mean,
looks better than The Dark Tower.
Oh yes, abundantly better. Abundantly better.
But hey, what are we doing here? We're talking about clowns and Idris Elba? Come on. No.
Well, Chad's not on this one, and so I wanted to fill in for the Stephen King stuff.
That's fine. But I am going to be the guy who ran Stephen King over in a van. And
which time?
Wait, it happened more than once?
He's been hit by a car twice.
Oh, wow.
I'm pretty sure. I've heard that somewhere. All I know is if you did that, you're responsible for Dreamcatcher, because he wrote that on Painkillers, and it shows.
I assume the only reason people keep running Stephen King over is that they actually get near the end of it, like they're reading it, and they like get through the 1,000-some pages, and they get to the child orgy scene, and they're just like, okay, I'm going to run this guy over. What the fuck?
My theory, call it far-fetched, I think he was run over by the truck from Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, okay. Right.
That was the name of that, right?
I don't care.
Let's move on.
So we're gonna get in my time machine / Stephen King mauler.
Oh yeah, that's where this started.
Right.
Yeah, sorry.
Go back to when the Super Nintendo was new, the dawn of the Super Nintendo, or the rise of the Super Nintendo.
But it's not out yet. I mean, I tried pre-ordering on Walmart, but it got canceled.
No. The original one that you shoved cartridges
There was one?
in. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay.
Good Lord, Nick, you're gonna have to let me actually get to the topic, or else we're gonna be
topic. That reminds me of a fun.
That reminds me of Hot Topic and Juggalo Clowns and Jared Leto. Yeah. So
okay. I'm just gonna shut up for the next 15 minutes.
Super Mario World was the newest Mario platformer, the fourth in the line of mainline Mario platformers, and it introduced one of the defining video game characters of the ages, and that's Yoshi the dinosaur. And this is something that Miyamoto wanted to get in the Mario series really early on, was Mario riding a little steed, a dinosaur. He could never make it work until the Super Nintendo. But Yoshi was like the greatest thing in the world when we first played Super Mario World in the early 90s. It was something that just, I don't know, it brought a lot of life to the Mario structure. And I really, loved Yoshi. And, Yoshi became an instant star for Nintendo, so the feeling was mutual among the fan base. Yoshi, went on to star in Yoshi's Cookie and Tetris Attack, and then he had the whole Yoshi's Island sub-series. But Yoshi was a big deal, and more than just a cute character design, it was just fun to ride essentially an animal throughout the 2D platformer levels of Mario. And it also is just the feeling that, you have this extra hit, you've got this extra protection, you can just kind of, I don't know, plunder these stages with his dinosaur. It really just added a whole sense of badassery into Mario. And a few years passed, and then Donkey Kong Country came out. And in my opinion, Donkey Kong Country not only matched Yoshi, but did it better, because it didn't just settle for one steed. It introduced 4-ish in the original game, and introduced us to the concept of animal buddies. Now, animal buddies, we have to really get into what is an animal buddy, because this is something that is easily misunderstood, even by Nintendo. I remember in the most recent Smash games, Smash 4, K. Rool's trophy description, either it was for the U.S. or for Europe, but in one of the territories, it mentioned flippantly that maybe K. Rool could have been Donkey Kong's best animal friend or something, implying that K. Rool could have been an animal buddy had he not turned evil. K. Rool could have never been an animal buddy, because K. Rool is a sentient being, fully anthropomorphic, and he is royalty. What an animal buddy is, they're almost like the pets of the Kong family. They're not anthropomorphic. They're wild animals who are essentially the same things you would see on safari or at the zoo or at the aquarium.
You can't see me right now, but I'm raising my hand.
Nick, yes.
Yes. So it's sort of a Pluto-Goofy distinction.
Well, yes. Because another thing to keep in mind is when the Donkey Kong Country games were designed and developed, this wasn't done with, say, shoehorning Banjo-Kazooie and Conker into the same universe. And I say shoehorn with all the love in the world, but it was designed, initially Donkey Kong Country, only the Kongs and the Kremlins had human-like intelligence, and then that was later expanded with DKC3 to the bears, right? So it wasn't until Diddy Kong Racing that we then had the Pluto Goofy effect, and there are myriad of ways to explain that away. Platonic just introduced the googly eyes, the whole concept that googly eyes can attach to something and bring them to life. There's also Taj, Taj make things have the same level of intelligence he does because he wants to commune with nature. Yeah, we fan-wanked it plenty over the years. But animal buddies are just animals. And I realize this is something that not everybody would necessarily agree with. This has always been DK Vine's interpretation of it. Sometimes it gets a little muddied, and we'll get into those times naturally. But basically, an animal buddy is a steed or a helpful animal found in nature, the nature of the DK Isles or Greater Rare Archipelago. And they're not pets necessarily. They're the closest the Kongs come to pets because they still live in nature. It's not like DK keeps Rambi on a leash or anything, but they're that we know. Well, I mean, when the lights go out, anything happens on DK Island. But who are we to judge? Actually, we should judge because, again, I feel like I brought this up before. This is probably one of my 12 jokes. But I feel like no matter how progressive we become as a society, we should draw the line at bestiality because it's not consent. You're essentially raping the shit out of that animal, right? I mean, if an animal develops human-like capabilities and can actually converse with people and say, "Oh no, I want this human's penis in my bunghole," then that would be one thing. But
so dogs that hump people's legs should be imprisoned, right? Because that's rape too.
You enjoy that, though. I mean, we all enjoy it. Right?
I do have a serious question, though. Do you think pets will ever be outlawed? Like, let's say things keep going the way they're going for good or for bad. I know you yourself don't eat meat. What if a large population of the world starts uniting on that fact? I many times have tried it myself and definitely am on your side. When you grow up eating meat, you get so used to it. It's sort of a very gray area for a lot of people that haven't made the switch. But what if in the future, people look back and say, "Can you believe that people had like forced dogs to live in their homes and do tricks and put them on leashes?" Like, that is so my grandparents were so embarrassing.
I don't think we'll ever go full PETA, in that regard.
Are PETA against pets?
Certain factions of PETA, at least. They
have pet in their name.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't really keep up with PETA because even though I'm a vegetarian, I think PETA gives us a bad name. But I think that if it ever does happen, it won't be for several generations. I feel like
So this podcast, like, we can talk freely about animal buddies and utilizing them for our own goals without the future looking at us like slave owners.
We already, I mean, look back at the Vine Donkey Kong audio program from just the beginning of this decade and look how heinous that appears to 2017's virgin eyes. Things can change.
Hell, look at 5 minutes ago on this episode.
Things can change quickly in our culture, but seriously, I think because so many animals are domesticated, it would be due to a large scale, like some sort of like dog or cat flu, like the plot of the fourth Planet of the Apes film in the original series. The
circus has come to town.
In that movie, there was some sort of virus that wiped out domesticated dogs and cats, and so naturally humans decided to keep apes as pets instead. Because that's the next leap. It's not like ferrets or like gerbils or anything. It's no, let's keep chimpanzees in our home. But
well, you're against speciality, but the way things are going, I mean, gay marriage. Come on, it's no. But
what I'm saying, look, gay marriage is because it's between two consenting adults. Bestiality, it's not consenting.
I was kidding.
I'm saying
People actually say that.
I know, but that's the distinction. It's that sheep can't say, why, yes, I quite enjoy that. Please give me some more. If we ever get...
Hyle, I'm against bestiality. It's all good. We can move on. I was just doing the laugh.
Oh, I know. Don't get me wrong. I know, your sexual proclivities. I know, you're not actually aroused by barnyard animals. By the way, I do keep all of the sexual fetishes and desires of the DK Vine staff in a handy journal right here.
Mine have changed recently.
Oh,
you might want to update that.
Okay. Let me.
I'm no longer into BDSM. I'm into BMSD. It's the same thing. It's just the order you do it in is way different.
I shouldn't have written this in ink. What was I thinking?
Right. Well, here, let me provide some whiteout. Let's move on.
But if there's ever an elephant genie man who comes to town and makes all of the animals able to converse with us, then bestiality is completely on the table, in my opinion.
Unless they all say, please don't.
Right, exactly. It has to be consent. Yeah. But I'm just saying.
You ever seen that documentary Zoo? I'm serious.
Oh, I thought you meant the James Patterson CBS series.
No, never heard of it. But there's a documentary called Zoo about this small community of people that, fuck animals. And, it paints them in a very sympathetic light, and it's very disturbing. I recommend it highly to every listener. You'll want to wash the inside of your body. You feel so dirty after watching.
By the way, I hope the ape raper is not offended by any of my personal stances on these issues, because we got to keep having him.
The last thing you'd want to do is offend a rapist.
Well, look, we've had a working relationship with this man for close to 5 years now. I don't want to jeopardize that at this point.
I'm actually surprised we still do that, but.
We signed a long-term contract, and we can't afford buying him out of it at this point.
It's one of these Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man situations.
Yeah. He gets 70% of any money the Kongversation makes. It's really just terrible. I don't know what we were thinking.
He's getting our $25 t-shirt money?
No, just money the Kongversation makes. That's why we had to start the Patreon, because we weren't making bank on this show.
Sorry, folks.
Anyway, why did we get on a 20-minute rant about bestiality?
Because you are all high and mighty.
No, I just want to make it clear that Donkey Kong isn't fingering Rambi's.
I don't think anyone thought that.
Okay, well. Animal buddies are wild animals that the Kongs are friends with. There, okay.
The end. They're not pets. They're also not fuck buddies. They're just friends that don't talk.
Right. Well, unless they're parrots or okay. Well, don't.
By the way, when Squawks talks in DK64, does that mean someone had just said all? We're gonna get
into that when we talk about Squawks. So with this episode, which by the way, this episode is a spiritual successor to the worst episode we've ever done of the Kongversation up to this point. I don't know. I think this one might take the crown at the end.
The death one?
No, not the death one. I think that was our second worst. Now, Bears from season 1.
Oh,
absolute shit.
Classic.
And but I always wanted to do a follow up to it, and I wanted to do this episode since season 1, but Bears kind of scared me away from this. But finally, this week I was like, I really want to talk about Animal Buddies after talking about Diddy Kong Pilot and thinking about Donkey Kong Racing. So you know what? We're gonna do it. We're gonna do animals. And that's what we're doing.
And then Nick came along and ruined.
Oh, that's okay. You ruin every episode. I'm used to it. I wouldn't keep having you on if I didn't actually enjoy you just wrecking these.
Yeah, I'm like Adam from Adam Ruins Everything. You should see my hair right now, but I am a wacky but smart individual.
Speaking of punchable faces, Jesus.
Holy crap, he's right above Josh Gad on the scale.
I would take Josh Gad over him, which is shocking coming from me.
Oh, that's saying something. That is saying something.
Oh my god. All right.
Speaking of animals.
So what I want to do with this episode, Nick, is we're going to talk about every single animal buddy in the Donkey Kong series.
Hell yeah.
And we're also going to be talking about the almost animal buddies and the aborted animal buddies. Those animal buddies that were planned but didn't make it into the series. So we're going to be embracing every single one. And I realize this might be controversial because we consider some animal buddies that other people may not consider animal buddies, while we may exclude some animal buddies that other people consider animal buddies that we do not consider animal buddies.
Did you say aborted animal buddies?
Yeah, animal buddies that were planned but not included in the final game.
When is an animal buddy truly an animal buddy, though, Hyle?
I don't know. Some would say that animal buddies are animal buddies at conception, but I think it's not actually the case. I think animal buddies are animal buddies when you vacuum their severed head into the vacuum cleaner.
For me, much like humans, an animal buddy is an animal buddy once it's in my phone book.
Your little black book, Nick? We've been through this. We just talked about this.
A 9/11 joke so soon. Oh, wait, that's a black box. Let's move on.
Clapper the seal can't melt steel beams, Nick. Because he would just freeze them. He would just freeze them.
That wasn't even... I don't even get the connection, but just that sentence's absurdity and the fact that it was spoken. I'm just honored to have been a witness to that sentence.
Mm-hmm. Which means you're...
DKC.
Oh, okay. Donkey Kong Country introduced us to the animal buddies with the... I guess you could call them the Classic Five. Nobody calls them that, and nobody ever will. So just ignore that.
The Fab Five, maybe?
The Dave Clark Five.
The
Jackson Five.
Oh, there we go. There's a reference.
Yeah, because except in this case, it's
piece it together.
Yeah, okay, because Michael
joke.
Jackson had a chimp named Bubbles. But he was part of the Jackson Five, while these are animals that are five. So, and it's the apes who kind of own them,
see where you're going
but
with
don't
this.
really own them. So, and Donkey Kong kind of doesn't have a defined nose. He just has nostrils like Michael Jackson post plastic surgery. So, I
just really wish Retro was still making DKC games. We could get Macaulay Culkin as being writable.
The thing is, he would do it. I'm sure it would be that kind of avant-garde shit he really goes for.
I wouldn't want to hurt him. He's pretty thin.
All that pizza he eats underground, you'd think he'd be putting on the pounds.
Yeah. Okay, so the DKC animal.
Yeah, okay. So, Rambi the Rhino, the quintessential animal buddy. And he's really the quintessential animal buddy because he was the first one that people encountered in the very first stage, Jungle Hijinks. And that means that people who are absolute shit at Donkey Kong Country and never progressed that far, at the very least, saw Rambi and played as with Rambi. So
sounds like me when I was very young. I only knew Rambi for quite a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's people who never even made it to Coral Capers. So for them, like, Rambi is the one they know. Like, people who just rented Donkey Kong Country and never bought. So Rambi is what people remember. By and large, he is essentially, if you could say any animal buddy, because there are over a dozen animal buddies. But if any animal buddy would be the Yoshi of animal buddies, it would be Rambi. And it's worth pointing out, and something I've only just relatively recently realized, is that Rambi, he's actually modeled after the three main rhinoceros species in the world. And this is...
He's like a combination
Yeah. So instead of just like doing a cartoony design of, say, like a white rhino, they used the body of a white rhino, but they gave him the pointed mouth of the black rhino and the one horn of the Indian rhino. Because African rhinos have two horns. Rambi just has the one big one, but he also has attributes of the African rhinoceros species too. So he's a combination of all three.
Now, which part of him is Paul Giamatti?
Jesus Christ. Not canon anymore, Nick. Get with the times, Grandpa.
I wonder if there's going to end up being Amazing Spider-Man elitists, like when it comes around.
What's that?
Like, you know how, vinyl elitists, now that cassettes are coming back, I wonder if there's going to be Amazing Spider-Man purists that grew up with that. So they'll be like, I don't know who Sam Raimi is, and I don't care about this new Tom Holland kid. Andrew Garfield's worth.
There already are. That's the baffling thing. The amount of
really?
Yeah, the amount of shit the Amazing Spider-Man duology got when it came out. And then as soon as they reboot and do the Marvel Cinematic Universe Spider-Man, now there's all these people who are like, well, actually, the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was great. Yeah. It never fails that we can never be just happy with what we've got. I don't know.
I will say, it is unrelated, but I think Tobey Maguire was the best Peter Parker. Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man. Of the lineup.
I don't have any opinion on the Spider-Man because I've never been a huge
Me
Spider-Man
neither.
fan.
I'm over superhero movies, but I still grew up.
You've seen Dunkirk now, so you're over. You've matured.
Yeah, I'm sort of what you call. Yeah, I watch adult film. Like mature military reenactments.
And documentaries about bestiality.
Is there a difference?
Oh, that's profound. That's almost as profound as a Roger Waters lyric.
Almost.
So,
but what about Enguarde?
I'm not done talking about Rambo. Talking about mature.
Done talking about me.
Not talking about mature wartime films. Rambi. No, I
love the name.
What's that?
I loved his name. They took Bambi and they put Ram in it.
Well, I just mentioned Rambo. I don't know if there was a Sylvester Stallone kind of tie-in there, or if it was just. I
think it's Bambi, but he ran
Bambi with the that would make sense. But I do love that instead of just making him one type of rhino, they essentially said Dong Kong Island has its own unique rhinoceros species, and it's kind of a combination of the three. It's just
what you were just saying though, it inspired a new TKU Comics idea, Rambi First Blood.
I would love to see that. I will give you all the encouragement.
The origin story no one asked for.
I will give you all the encouragement in the world you need to do that.
Thank you.
So Rambi, of course, is he's like the tank of the animal buddies. He barges through baddies. He's mostly invulnerable. A few things can get him, like of course, if his backside is touched, he'll run away. If he's hit by, say, one of
just like me,
right? I know that from experience.
You're telling me.
I mean, you were asleep at the time, but anyway.
Handsy Hyle over here.
What can I say? I looked at my journal and I saw what you're into, and I was like, well, test it out. A lot of this is just field research.
Yeah, more like field research.
What can I say? So, Rambi barges through things like Necky's nuts and other things can, dislodge him. By the way, it's worth pointing out, too, that all these rideable animal buddies, when you're riding them, because there's two different mechanics for the animal buddies. You ride them like Yoshi, and you can also, in the later games, transform into them. Well, even in Donkey Kong Country, you had the animal buddy token games, which people mostly hate now, but because they just take you...
It's interesting that only one Kong can ride them at a time.
At the very least, in the original Rare games. Of course, Retro has them both on there.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, I think that's just a matter of animation.
Couldn't they just make an alternate sprite that's just mirrored for when one character is in front of the other?
I'm pretty sure that just has to do with the limitations on the Super Nintendo or Game Boy, especially Game Boy. But
I'll have to check Greg Mail's sticky notes. He probably refers to that.
Not to be confused with your notes, which are just normal notes that inevitably get sticky.
Jesus, can we please just stick to the topic?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the one who's at fault here.
God, I gotta just keep this thing on track. It's all on my shoulders.
Tracky Train.
What the fuck is Tracky Train, by the way?
Oh, you still haven't listened to the Tribunal episode. Shame on you. Shame.
No, I did. It's just a catchphrase at this point.
Yeah, we'll get it on a t-shirt, maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
Anyway, so yeah, you can ride them, and in later games and greater frequency in later games, you can transform into them to the point where the transformation mechanic was the only thing you could do by Donkey Kong 64. But when you're riding on them, you can essentially gives you an extra hit, which especially in the Super Nintendo games was vital because you only had up to 2 hits depending on how many Kongs you had. So this would give you a third hit. And when you are actually transformed into them, then you can't lose them. That's really why they had the transformation mechanic to begin with. Was in the sequels they implemented the animal buddies more, and because of that you would have to be the animal buddy. You couldn't lose them or else it would make the level unfunctionable. So they had the transformation barrels. You transformed to them, and then if you had an extra the Kong sidekick with you, they would transform just into an extra hit. So those are the 2 different ways to play as animal buddies, except in the first one you could play as just the animal buddy. In the token games you collect 3 animal tokens of the same kind, then it takes you to the little mini game, takes you out of the stage. People hate them now, but at the time I didn't mind them back in the day, back in 1994. But yeah, Rambi's the tank. He can barge through enemies, and he can also barge through into secret passages, which in the original Donkey Kong Country, that was a large amount of the bonus levels were found hidden in walls. So Rambi was very useful in that regard. But yeah, Rambi's come back. I haven't really done I should have done totals. How many animal buddies have been in each game? I would imagine that Rambi is near the top as far as the animal buddies who have been in the most. Actually, so I know Squawks would probably take that.
Squawks is number 1.
Squawks is number 1. Yeah. I think Rambi would be number 2. And despite the fact that Rambi wasn't in Donkey Kong Country 3 or Land 3, I think he's still...
Well, I believe parries in all of them. It's just above the screen. You can't see, but it's following you at all times.
Well, that's just fanning, Nick.
Sure.
Yeah, Rambi was only one of 2 animal buddies who came back in Donkey Kong Land, and only one of a handful who was in Donkey Kong 64. And of course, in the retro games, he's the only playable animal buddy in Returns and Tropical Freeze. So Rambi is an icon at this point. Retro felt like Retro didn't really include animal buddies in the same way Rare did, but they felt like they had to include Rambi, which, good for him. And I don't know. I love Rambi, but I'm also okay if Rambi's not in a Donkey Kong game. I feel like the cool thing about animal buddies is so long as they're there, I don't really care which animal buddies are there or not. I just want as many animal buddies in a game that makes sense. And so, I have my preferences. Rambi's not my favorite, but he's not my least favorite. I don't know if I even have a least favorite animal buddy. I mean, if I did, it would be one of the borderline cases like the Donkey Kong Country Returns quote-unquote animal buddies they introduced. And maybe some of the Jungle Beat ones who I don't mind, but they're just kind of XPs for the Rare originals. So yeah. I don't have anything else to say about Rambi, do you?
I think we've exhausted Rambi at this point, although I'll say he's a blast to ride and iconic.
Yeah. Of course, then there's the underwater Rambi, Enguarde, the swordfish. Of course, when I was a kid, I called him Enguarde because I didn't speak French. So, I don't know. Enguarde, he's a swordfish. He's underwater. What are your thoughts on Enguarde?
Enguarde's awesome. I love the name. He's adorable. I love the levels you play as him in most of the time. He's just great.
Yeah, I really... as great as Tropical Freeze is, I feel like the most glaring fault Tropical Freeze has is not lack of Kremlins, it's lack of Enguarde. Enguarde...
They really could have used him in that water level.
Yeah, people argue that, you don't need Enguarde. You don't need Enguarde in Tropical Freeze because the Kongs have...
We don't need him.
Well, no, but they argue that the Kongs have underwater attacks, so that makes Enguarde useless. But the Kongs also have land attacks. They've always had land attacks, and that doesn't make Rambi's superfluous. So Enguarde could essentially serve as underwater Rambi. And I really feel like some of those underwater stages, especially in World 4 of Tropical Freeze, really could have used Enguarde because they got rough and brutal. And I feel like having that extra level of power that Enguarde provides, with his pointed nose, would go a long way towards... I mean, they were fine, but I think those were the most grueling levels in Tropical Freeze. They're my least favorite to replay, and I feel like Enguarde could have really made them a lot more fun in retrospect. But Enguarde, he for a while...
I prefer his hologram, though. It's a better character.
So yeah, I want to address this because some animal buddies are purely DK Vine fanon because of the fact that they're doubled up on screen with another copy of them. We'll get into... There's the purple parrots. There's the flying squirrels from Jungle Beat. Enguarde does...
I like to call this one Doppelguard.
Well, Enguarde does have that in the original Donkey Kong Country when you get Enguarde and then you come to another crate and you break it open and then a second Enguarde pops out. And you can hop on the second Enguarde and ride him around, and people have been on my case and they said... That should be its own unique animal buddy, If we're going to include Squawk and Sky, then that should be
so why isn't it? Because it looks identical?
Well, we've always said it was an Enguarde hologram, that
but why?
A solid light hologram. Well, there is some evidence, in-game evidence to support this, because in the remakes... I forget if it's in the Game Boy Color remake, but I know it's in the Game Boy Advance remake of Donkey Kong Country. You cannot activate the second Enguarde. It'll just poof. He'll just poof away.
Yeah, in all reality, it's something they just didn't think of, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you could... Yeah, even more so than the two purple parrots, I would say. It's just clearly an in-game oversight.
Yeah. But in DK Vine lore, you make your own choice, whatever you prefer. I think Hologram's pretty funny just because it's absurd.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth pointing out...
Refracted light.
Yeah, it's worth pointing out that there would have been multiple swordfish and rhinos and ostriches. Well, there already are multiple ostriches, but we'll get into that whole thing. With Donkey Kong Racing... It wouldn't have just been Rambi and Enguarde and Espresso, etc. It would have been multiple steeds of the same species. So having two swordfish...
Is there proof of that? What if two people chose Rambi to ride on wouldn't it just be 2 Rambis, or did they say there's going to be different sized Rambis?
In the trailer, there were different sizes and different shapes.
Okay.
Different designs. I mean, it wasn't just.
Would they have had different names, or just all been Rambi?
I mean,
would that have proven
honestly, they never made it that.
species?
They never made it that far with Donkey Kong Racing, so anything would just be blind speculation at this point. But
I hope they'd have different names.
well, you might have been able to name them yourself too. That might have been. I don't know.
I'm naming mine Minogue.
So yeah, I realized that the whole notion of an Enguarde hologram and it not being a separate swordfish is a little bit picky and choosy on my account. But at this point, the Enguarde hologram is such a defined part of DK Vine's bullshit that we've got to stick with it. We can't get off the hologram. Why am I always saying train? Tracky Train has ruined my brain. I said get off the train, get on the train. Fuck you, Tracky Train. I don't want to be thinking like some sort of weirdo model railroader.
Dun 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 dun. Sorry, that was the Thomas the Tank Engine theme.
I've actually never seen an episode of Thomas the Tank Engine. Even the ones narrated by Ringo Starr, I couldn't be bothered.
Rob Butler, if you're listening, turn off the program now.
Is he a big Thomas the Tank Engine fan?
Oh, yeah.
Does he have like the wooden tracks in his home?
I don't think anymore, but as a kid, he was a big fan.
I'm disappointed he gave up on that. Clearly, I fully support never giving up on your childhood obsessions and having them derail trains.
He could be running ThomasTrack.com or something.
Yeah, but then have them, as I said, derail your adult life.
Exactly. I don't want to let that pun get brushed over there.
Let's talk about Espresso the ostrich.
Must we?
Well, Espresso, yes, we must. Espresso is a bit weird in that, you know, Rambi and Enguarde are viewed as essential animal buddies. Espresso is most certainly not. And for a while there, he got the shaft. The John shaft.
Espresso is human garbage.
You don't like Espresso?
Nah, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to pick on him for some reason. He's fine. I mean, I don't really get his point that much, gameplay-wise.
He's got... Yeah, I mean, it's not like... You got Rambi and Enguarde, which basically serve the same purpose, but land and water. Espresso, he's kind of serves two purposes. One, he was made redundant when Diddy Kong was made a character, because what Espresso could do is he could kind of waft over small distances with his wings. Since ostriches can't fly, you know, they incorporated that into the gimmick of Espresso. He could just kind of flap his little wings, and you could kind of hover over the ground. It could get you over gaps you couldn't get to.
Now, Rambi, the Bambi pun, en garde, the French word for the sword fighting term. Why espresso? Like, I always thought it was espresso as a kid, like coffee.
Yeah, I don't think this ostrich is a caffeine addict. I think it's a play on...
Fast? Like express?
Yeah. I mean, he was like the fastest animal buddy. He could run the fastest. He had those long legs, and he had sneakers on his feet. Keep in mind, he was one of two animal buddies who the Kongs put sneakers on their feet. Which, again, like they're wild animals, so I like to imagine that it's just like Donkey Kong, like getting this wild ostrich and like, okay, I went to Foot Locker and I bought you these, and then just.
I thought it was sort of a bad cash-in, though, that during the DKC1 credits, they hired Madonna to do that tie-in song, Espresso Yourself. I was really rolling my eyes. All right, that's a stretch.
That is... You've really, like, straddled the line with some of these references in the past, Nick.
Hey, what do ostriches do with their necks? They stretch. Come on.
That's... no. Stretch Armstrong stretches. Plastic Man stretches. Elongated Man stretches. Mr. Fantastic stretches. Ostrich...
Miles Teller?
Again, with the punchable faces. What's with the deal with all the punchable faces?
I think he's already been punched.
Yeah. Somebody needs to punch him in the opposite way. Set that face straight. Oh, that's mean. That's mean. Why am I picking?
Well, he's a He's a reported angry drunk, so he can take a little bit.
So was Jimmy Fallon, but his face is fine. He's got an adorable face.
Are you kidding me? He's number 1 on the list.
Yeah, I want to punch Jimmy Fallon too. God, why am I so...
Well,
violent?
I mean, if it was just his face, I'd be fine. But then if it was, the sound and movement along with the face, it gets me contemplating manslaughter. But Espresso, I like Espresso. And now, is Espresso male or female?
Male. Yeah, it's a misconception.
Because of the O?
It's a misconception that Espresso is a female, and I don't know why. I think he's got a kind of a feminine design in his eyes, and I think that's what makes people assume he's a female. But all of the Donkey Kong Country 1 animal buddies are male. It was a complete sausage fest, and which is weird because the planned pig animal buddy was scrapped. And yes, there was a planned pig animal buddy. Not planned, but conceptualized at one point.
So if he was an aborted animal buddy, was he a Planned Parenthood pig?
What?
Sorry. I said planned.
Yeah. Anyway, so Espresso had the long legs, and that gave him the other benefit that claptracks would go underneath him, which I think only really came into play like once or twice. As far as his name goes, it is one of the most common misconceptions that people call espresso, the coffee drink, espresso. Like that's, I think Weird Al even made light of that in his song "Word Crimes."
Did he?
Yeah. But the early '90s was kind of the boom of the coffee industry. The love lattes and Starbucks and whatnot. So maybe that's where they pulled it from. I would think that's where they pulled it from. But yeah, Espresso. He's fast. He has nothing to do with coffee. Now it should be
But Cranky loves him.
Cranky loves the hell out of Espresso, and the next animal buddy we'll talk about. But you know who else loved Espresso, Nick?
The GBA development team?
Yes, it's almost like you're reading my show notes.
Wow, just take the air out of him. Go ahead.
No, I'm joking. You never read the show notes. That was purely from your own wealth of knowledge. Nick Prol, everybody.
Well, I did know that. I did know that.
I know. You work for DK Vine. You probably knew that. I'm just giving you shit because we're...
Espresso the toucan is my favorite animal buddy. I know these things.
Pull an Alistair. Donkey what now? No, the Game Boy Advance team. Okay, so a little history for Espresso. Unlike Rambi and Enguarde, Espresso initially only had one more appearance. He was in Donkey Kong Land, one of 2 animal buddies in Donkey Kong Land with Rambi. Espresso reappeared in the Game Boy follow-up to the original DKC. And in that game...
That is one reason I do still like him, because I love that game.
Well, they improved Espresso in Donkey Kong Land. So
exactly.
In the original Donkey Kong Country, he couldn't jump on animals. Like, he couldn't jump on baddies. He had spindly legs. So unlike Rambi or Winky, you try to jump on somebody, you'd lose Espresso. Donkey Kong...
That's kind of lame.
Well, I mean, they gave him his own, attributes and weaknesses, like the rest of the animal buddies. But in Donkey Kong Land, Espresso could jump on baddies. And
that's my favorite Espresso version ever.
Yeah, Espresso is badass in Donkey Kong Land.
They even mention it in Smash Bros.
They mention it in his trophy in Super Smash Bros. 4 Nintendo 3DS.
And that ain't in the show notes. Drop the mic.
I did do a Facebook post about that the other week, but
Oh, for crying out loud.
No, Smash Brothers, like, it was our fan in that, Espresso got stronger thanks to his role in Donkey Kong Country. And so Donkey Kong Land rolls around, and he's got the leg. He's got the tough legs now. And Smash Brothers went and made a canon for us. So thank you, Smash Brothers. You're good for something.
I mean, trophies are my favorite part of that series, so
yeah,
it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So anyway, so after Donkey Kong Land, though, Dixie came into the series, and Espresso was cut from Donkey Kong Country 2, and Espresso wouldn't be seen again. He was in the Game Boy Color remake of Donkey Kong Country, Game Boy Advance remake of Donkey Kong Country, but Espresso wasn't seen. But then in Donkey Kong Country 2 Game Boy Advance, the GBA team based a whole mini game around Espresso. They decided to utilize Espresso in DKC 2 at long last. So canonically, we know what Espresso was up to during the events of DKC 2, and that was...
And he was up to a lot of breeding.
Well, no, Espresso wasn't fucking. These were... We're going to be getting into these other ostriches near the end of the episode. The Kremlin racing ostriches. But yeah, Espresso was involved, thanks to Cranky Kong, in the illicit underground ostrich races of Crocodile Isle, which I think would be the equivalent of like the Michael Vick dog fights.
Yeah, I was right about to say.
Yeah. Cranky is a shady-ass character sometimes.
I wouldn't want him any other way.
Yeah. So, you mentioned Cranky loves Espresso, and that comes from the Donkey Kong Country 2 instruction manual, where Cranky laments the loss of Winky and Espresso in that game. And
it's like they knew fans would miss them, so they at least wanted to address it.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't see Retro having Cranky say, "Damn, I sure miss all the animals." Too bad they all died in the Great Fire of 2003.
And the Gorilla Glacier volcanic eruption, yeah.
What if in the back of like one of the beach levels, instead of a pirate ship, you just saw Noah's Ark and it has all the animal buddies on it?
Or just
it's like, oh, that's where they were.
A spider corpse washes ashore.
Oh.
Or you see like all 8 of Squitter sneakers on a telephone wire. You know, you could score some primo drugs
with
there.
Graffiti under it that says "dank." That'd be so great.
So anyway, yeah, the Game Boy Advance team built this whole mini game around Espresso. This idea that Cranky had Espresso the whole time during Donkey Kong Country 2 and was using him to compete in these underground ostrich races. It's so fucking perfect. I love it.
You had him in an exploit dungeon. I can relate.
And then the GBA team also put Espresso in Banjo-Pilot, of all fucking things. And, of course, as we explained on the last episode, that was just a result of it being Diddy Kong Pilot. It was a leftover from when it was Diddy Kong Pilot. But they didn't remove him when it became Banjo-Pilot. So
nope.
Espresso has a canonical appearance in Banjo-Pilot, and that's his last appearance to date. Although there were other ostriches that appeared. One of them might have been Espresso in the Donkey Kong track in Mario Kart Arcade GP.
No, in the instruction booklet on that one, it clearly says that's Minogue.
Oh, okay. All right.
Clearly.
So anyway,
Minogue, Hall of Fame next year. Make it
Espresso went from kind of being a forgotten also-ran, even though he was the best runner, to, thanks to the Game Boy Advance team, he's kind of become legendary, at least in the DK Vine sectors of Donkey Kong fandom.
He's literally an also-ran with all the ones, the other ones running.
Yeah, I mean, Espresso and those Kremlin racing ostriches, they're up there as far as the kind of bullshit we obsess about. So, here's to you, Espresso. Winky the Frog, Nick. Now, Winky is an interesting case in that I think... And I can't do a poll as far as children because I'm not allowed to talk to children anymore.
Oh, I thought you meant you can't do a Polish accent. I can't do a poll.
I mean, I don't know. It would just be... Because from what I understand about the Polish, it's that they have screen doors on their submarine, so they're always drowning.
Oh, I heard that. I also hear they're like really bad with like illuminating devices that go on the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. That's just what I hear. I've got a book on Polish culture right here. It's 101 jokes about the Poles, and I assume it's all accurate. It was passed on to me by my grandfather. So
my favorite Polish joke is who's the greatest Polish sci-fi author? Stanislaw Lem.
I don't get it.
That's just a fact.
So anyway, when kids play, that's a weird ass tangent. What is our problem? We are terrible hosts.
I don't know about you, but this sort of I learned it from watching you, Dad situation. I mean, if you listen back to the you and Chad ones, come on, you are doing some history rewriting here if you don't think those are tangents.
I don't know. I feel like this is the kind of quality you would expect from a Pole doing a podcast. Is that racist? Probably. I don't care. Winky the Frog. So when most... I have to keep...
Speaking of polls, though, let's have a poll on the thread, forum thread for this episode. If you think my constant chiming in with puns and cultural references, trying to keep in the style of the conversation I love, is annoying, just say so and I'll tone it down. But if you like it, I want to know that too. Because, I mean, I'm flexible. I'm flexible.
I know you are. It's in my book.
Yes, I'm like Gumby. I like to get pokeyed.
Oh, I have to keep repeating this like a mantra. Winky the Frog, Winky the Frog. So, when most kids played Donkey Kong Country, I have a feeling, at least this was in my case, Winky was the favorite animal buddy. What was that? I mean,
I love Winky.
I mean, what was that? Was that your scenario? Maybe we should ask the people in the Twitch chat too.
Yeah.
When you first played Donkey Kong Country, assuming you first played it when you were prepubescent, Winky was probably like the one that stood out to you the most because he's a giant jungle frog that you can ride. There is something so kid appealing about that, right?
Right, chat? Let's just wait till
Let's just wait because there's that time delay. We go out live, but it takes a while to reach Twitch. So let's just wait. Let's have some dead air on our podcast. No, but Winky was viewed as the favorite.
Well, according to Dustin here, Winky was fun. I mean, he sucked to control.
Yes. Well,
and then,
okay.
Gibbon
that's
says,
the thing.
"Oh fuck yeah, Winky was the favorite." And then Dustin follows up with, "Giant frogs are always cool." And then we have, let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Cameron is in the chat saying, "More pole jokes, please. Fuck that entire country up the ass."
Oh,
Cameron Regal. Cameron.
It's always the ones you least suspect, you know?
Yeah, the quiet ones.
Yeah. So Winky was, I think, the kid favorite, but because of Dustin brought it up, he had terrible hit detection, and it would be this thing where you would jump with him and you would land on a baddie, and you just off a slight bit, but you couldn't really tell, and Winky would go flying. He would run off.
In that case, Retro might have actually been inspired by Animal Buddies because they gave Lord Frederick, the same hit detection.
This is not something I noticed as a kid because Winky was too damn cool to be held down by things like poor control or hit detection or anything like that.
Is it me or were like tree frogs and like tropical frogs awesome in the 90s?
Yeah, they were a big thing in the 90s, and I think that was just...
I had a binder with a tree frog on it. There was like Lisa Frank tree frogs.
I think part of it...
It just seems like a theme.
Well, I think part of it, in the early 90s, you had like this whole conservation movement that really became big. I mean, George H.W. Bush, I'm reaching across the aisle here. You say what you will about where the Republican Party now stands with conservation and environmentalism. George H.W. Bush really did not really hinder that, at least to the degree that his, say son did later on. The early 90s were, a big time for like save the rainforest. We had Fern Gully, and we had,
well, Bush's last name is like a plant, so he was all about nature.
Oh, I thought he was just anti-waxing.
Could have been. Could have been.
You ever seen him in a bikini?
He wasn't a president in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, you ever see Herbert Walker in a bikini? It's like, come on, man. Come on.
Some real Rambi toe.
This isn't an Italian beach. You're an American president.
But yeah, we mentioned zoo books before too, and I remember there being a tree frog zoo book.
Yeah, I think tree frogs were just one of those things, like, because of this environmentalism movement, because of the rainforest, and tree frogs were just kind of in the popular imagination, especially among kids.
Rainforest Cafe, that was real big too. Had a tree frog.
Yeah, I remember in every mall, at least here in Virginia, there were nature stores, and I
love those stores.
I love them too.
The Discovery store.
Yeah, I miss that kind of stuff. Anyway, so yeah, Winky was just kind of catnip for the kids of the 90s. We didn't care that he was the worst animal buddy to play with, and that he was a mess as far as you never knew, as far as jumping goes, where to actually land with him, and he was just wonky and twitchy. And
Winky the Frog was catnip for kids of the 90s, and kids of the 90s were catnip for Michael Jackson.
Bubbles. That was his chimp's name, right? Bubbles?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
All right.
No, you're not allowed to second guess references. It stalls the entire program.
Oh, I'm sorry. We wouldn't want to do that, would we? This is an efficient...
And I see in the chat, by the way, that Aragog was a Harry Potter giant spider, so all you had to do was let me know. But no, I embarrassed myself.
No. What was the giant spider that stabbed Frodo in the gut?
I thought it was Aragog, but I guess, I don't know. Let's just wait for the chat to answer in dead air.
Well, I could just look it up. I mean, we have Google in front of us, but...
I'm just kidding. I know it plays a new part in the new Shadow of... Okay, real quick tangent.
Shelob is
Shelob is what I say.
Okay.
She bangs. But,
Ricky Martin.
You know that,
just like Tree Frogs, he was an icon of the 90s.
Who later came out. But that recent Lord of the Rings game with the Nemesis system and all that, Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
To me, I always refer to that game in shorthand. Let's say you're watching Everybody Loves Raymond, and you say, "Hey, I'm gonna watch some Raymond tonight." It's usually you refer to the last word. So I refer to that as Mordor. I'm not gonna refer to it as Shadow. I'm not playing a hedgehog game. So you would think the next sequel would be oh, we had Shadow of Mordor. Well, this is gonna be another Mordor game, but even cooler. So it's gonna be, I don't know, Legion of Mordor or Secrets of Mordor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they could call it the Mordor series. But no, it's called Shadow of War. That's the most generic title I've ever heard. So what, this is officially going to be known through the annals of history as the Shadow series?
Yeah, that's poor branding, and also it's kind of like a Rise/Dawn of the Planet of the Apes situation.
Exactly.
Where you would think, well...
And in this case, too, the circus is in town. Gollum.
I mean, the only thing about attaching it to Mordor is then you would have a Batman Arkham series conundrum where they would have to keep tying it into Arkham, even as the series expanded outside of Arkham Asylum.
Shadow of Mordor blatantly ripped off stuff from the Arkham game, so it would be fitting.
Real quick anecdote, because we're on this tangent. When Cameron and I were at E3 this year, they were heavily promoting the new Shadow of War.
Yeah.
Okay, a Middle-earth Shadow of War game, and so
which looks really funny, by the way.
Well, when you were walking between the two halls of E3, they would have banners up, and this is like a long hallway. It's let's say it's a fifth of a mile to get through this tall tunnel hallway to get between the two halls. So they would have these banners up along the hallway of orcs and goblins or whatever from the game, and they would be pledging their allegiance to you or whatever, and then on the reverse side they would be disavowing you because you failed them, and it was just so fucking tiring seeing, and you'd have to read each one as you walked by. You couldn't help yourself, and it was just the most grueling thing. It kind of turned me off of the game by the end of E3 because I was so tired of seeing these orcs. And then they also had people dressed up as orcs. They got I don't know if they look like professional basketball players based on their height, but they were in full like movie quality orc makeup walking around the E3, and that was kind of disconcerting. By movie quality, I mean The Hobbit. They were completely CGI'd.
Oh, whoa, that's crazy. Did you have a GoPro cam out?
Yeah. Well, being Hyle from off of DK Vine, I was riding a barrel. So,
that makes sense, yeah.
And Kay from Lost was there for no reason, too. So, anyway, Winky was...
No reason at all.
Winky was excluded from the sequels. With a small caveat. So they didn't get rid of the whole notion of a jumping animal buddy, but they replaced them with somebody whose hit detection would be easier to make sense of. But sure. Winky still made a cameo appearance with Cranky Kong in the Monkey Museum in the background. They had Cranky had him in like an aquarium or terrarium. I guess I
thought he had his taxidermied corpse.
Well, no. Okay, so he's not
in the console version.
He's stationary in the console version because the backgrounds in the console version aren't animated. In the Game Boy Advance version, they are animated, and Winky is jumping around in that one.
So do we use the GBA one as retroactive intent?
The GBA remakes inform certain aspects about the originals. The Super Nintendo one should still be viewed as the primary source, but the Game Boy Advance ones are canonical. They're basically the way we view them is they show us events that the Super Nintendo versions did not show us.
Here's my rebuttal, though.
Okay.
The background of DK's house has animation with the fish in the picture frame. They could have easily had Winky blink if they wanted him to be alive.
Yeah, but especially Donkey Kong Country.
Winky's dead.
He's jumping.
The dream is dead.
Oh, okay. You know what? I will let you believe what you want, but the official DK
It makes him even more of a hero in my eyes. It's like, wow, he took one for the team.
It's because he had such shitty hit detection. Yeah, he ran right into a zinger and he died. Yeah, and he soiled himself when he died too.
Oh, take all dignity out of the man's sacrifice.
He's named after a penis, for Christ's sake.
So is Dick Cheney, and I still have his framed photo above my fireplace.
Since I am complimenting the GOP for a change on the show, I will also compliment Dick Cheney. The man has a massive penis.
And when he goes hunting, he too has awful hit detection. Finally, one made him laugh.
I've laughed at your jokes this time. And when I don't laugh, Nick, I am laughing on the inside.
And when I don't cry, I'm crying.
My Winky gets a little bit taxidermied. Just a little bit.
So, dead or alive, he's still in DKC2, and that was kind of a cool callback.
Why is he called Winky? Is it because he blinks?
I mean, don't all the animal buddies blink or no?
Well, I always assumed because it was because they had him like shutting his eyelids a whole bunch. That's why he was called a Winky.
It just sounds kind of like a 90s generic cute name, like Blinky Winky. Sounds like a ghost from Pac-Man.
I don't know. Help us out in the Twitch chat. Why is he called a Winky?
We'll wait.
Okay. Okay. Qburn says his name is lifted from Steve Mail's nickname, which would make sense because his Twitter handle...
Winky Steve.
Yeah. I thought he just really liked Winky the Frog. I know Steve Mails really likes Winky the Frog. And
I just thought he had a huge dick.
All right.
Qburn has lied before, though. I mean, we remember the Holocaust didn't happen comment last show. Come on, Qburn.
He and Cameron are just the worst.
Oh, they're just toxic to this community.
I love how they're paying for this privilege, too, of us just completely insinuating that they're terrible people when in
It's
fact
like going
to
a Don Rickles show. One of us will be dead by the end of the show.
I don't think we've quite reached the level of quality of Don Rickles. We're more Andrew Dice Clay, if anything.
Oh! Along came a Squitter, sat down beside her and said, What's in the bowl, bitch? Oh!
All right, let's. There's one more animal buddy from the original Donkey Kong Country who had very humble beginnings, and that's Squawks the parrot. Now, we would have never known it at the time. He was in one stage in the original Donkey Kong Country, Torchlight Trouble. All he did was hold a flashlight for you. He helped illuminate the dark cave. It was an interesting gimmick, and it was what I loved about the whole design philosophy of Greg Mayles was we're going to have characters serve these functions. So whereas like they could have just had like light barrels. No, we're going to have a parrot hold a flashlight for you. That's more interesting, and it makes you more emotionally invested in this world if there's actually a character attached to it. And I think it's brilliant. It's one of the reasons I love the Donkey Kong Country series, and I love just the whole Rare philosophy in general. But yeah, all Squawks did was he was a tiny parrot who held a flashlight. He came back in Donkey Kong Country.
This was like...
What's that?
This was like seeing John Lennon playing skiffle at the Cavern Club. I mean, we had no idea what he'd go on to become.
That's right. Yeah. And just, Squawks hasn't been shot by Mark David Chapman yet, but...
Yet.
Here's hoping,
Yeah, here's hoping.
So, again, he was just aiming for Yoko, but this time he shot a parrot on a tropical island. He really
Horrible
missed.
Hit detection.
Yeah. Maybe Mark David Chapman is Winky.
Maybe.
They kind of look similar.
Jared Leto should play him in a movie.
We'll know for sure when Winky comes back with a tattoo on his forehead, showing us how damaged he is.
Yeah. Poor Winky.
So anyway, Squawks came back in Donkey Kong Country 2, and he grew up. He was bigger, a little bit fatter, but he was also capable of now carrying the Kongs, and he could like lift them up and fly them up. He could also spit. Well, this is a bit debated what Squawks actually spits. We've talked about this before on the Kongversation. He more likely spits eggs, but that makes no sense because he's a male parrot, and besides, parrots don't lay eggs through their mouths. But some people think he shoots coconuts or stones or something, but I think it's clearly supposed to be parrot eggs. So we can only assume that Squawks just squirrels a bunch of other parrots' eggs in his mouth and talked about Planned Parenthood, am I right?
Yeah, I was going to say, each of those eggs is in itself an aborted animal, buddy.
Right. I think those parrots that Squawks is flying with in Donkey Kong 64's cinema scenes, they're the eggs he accidentally hatched. He kept in his mouth way too long, and then he was like, all right, you're tagging along. But no, Squawks... He was the first promoted animal buddy. When I say first, he might be the only promoted animal buddy thus far, where he went from just an ancillary kind of because there's the rideable animal buddies and there's the supplementary animal buddies. The animal buddies you don't ride, but they influence your environment in some way. Squawks was the first supplementary animal buddy, but he was then promoted to rideable status, and after that he became one of the defining animal buddies of the series. I would say Rambi, Enguarde, and Squawks are the core three at that point. And that's also because they were the three that came back in Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah, their names are higher on the call sheet. It's sort of like this real political thing.
Right. They're the A-list. They're the Tom Hanks and the Tom Cruise and the George Clooney of the animal buddies.
The Clint Howard.
No, where some of the other animal buddies are just kind of the quirky character actors who you respect, and they get a lot of roles, but
Richard Jenkins.
Yeah, they're just not actually selling the tickets. They're not getting people in the theater seats. So yeah, Squawks. Squawks has been in more Donkey Kong games than any other animal buddy.
Wow.
Think about it, because every time Rambi shows back up, Squawks is there in some capacity.
And he's there when Rambi isn't.
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country 3 and Donkey Kong Land 3. So the only time Rambi was in a game that Squawks wasn't in, I believe, I want to say, was Donkey Kong Land. At least that's just off the top of my head.
And they had some real separation anxiety during that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clearly. And Espresso just wasn't cutting it for Rambi. So there were also new animal buddies in Donkey Kong Country 2. There were, officially at the time there were 4, but there were actually, now officially 5, but according to DK Vine there were 6. Just to make this extra confusing. So
yeah, you following along with this?
Yeah. I hope you're keeping notes. These animal buddies were native, in most regards, native to Crocodile Isle, at the very least living on Crocodile Isle at the time. But they were not affiliated with the Kremlin crew. So the Kongs instantaneously bonded with these animals, and they became animal buddies. Sure, why not? So let's start off with the animal buddy of the hour, of the summer. This is the animal buddy that's on everybody's lips right now, and that's Rattly the rattlesnake. He replaced Winky as far as the animal buddy who could jump, and you can see why in that his hit detection made more sense. He's got a tail. He's a coiled snake, but his coil it's a defined point in that where Winky had that bulbous neck that stuck out in front of his legs, so you never really knew where.
Oh, that's why they called him Winky.
What?
You said he had a defined neck that stuck out in front of his legs.
Oh,
and we're Winky.
We're doing a penis thing, right?
It just seemed natural.
No, I understand. I understand, Nick. You wanted to reference the male genitalia. I know.
They've always felt more natural to me.
Radley. I like Radley. You know, there are Winky partisans who do not care for Radley, and I am not one of them. I love Radley very much, and I feel like Radley is the superior animal buddy to Now, that doesn't mean you couldn't bring Winky back, especially since you're not, confined to those same ACM models. You couldn't refine Winky for the modern age. But
you'd have to use some voodoo or something and bring him back, but he's dead and gone, friend.
If you say so, Nick. If you say so. Radley also had the super jump, which, the sequel introduced the supercharge moves for several of the animal buddies. So
yes.
Winky could jump even higher than Winky ever could.
It's very fun to do.
Now, Radley is notable right now because there is a street sign in Super Mario Odyssey that references him. But the thing is, they misspelled his name, because Radley, as we all know, is spelled Rattly. Radley. The street sign in Super Mario Odyssey, however, is spelled Rattley. I mean, what is Nintendo thinking? What is Nintendo thinking? It completely ruins New Donk City. And I may never buy a Switch as a result. If they don't fix this, I don't know what I'm going to do, Nick. But luckily,
you could not buy a Switch.
Well, I could. Option. I mean, that is an option, but I also have another option. I have launched a petition on change.org, which you can reach at dkvine.com/Radley, Rattly.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, go to dkvine.com/Radley right now and sign this petition for Nintendo to change the Radley sign in Super Mario Odyssey's New Donk City to Radley. So I'm just going to read this real quick. This is what I wrote for the petition. Radley the rattlesnake in parentheses. He's a rattlesnake, and his name is Radley, probably because of the rattle, in further parentheses, citation needed. Is one of the most beloved animal buddies in the Donkey Kong series. Therefore, he's one of the most cherished characters in all of popular culture. Nintendo, it's terrific to see you reference him on a street sign in Super Mario Odyssey's New Donk City, but a critical oversight has occurred. You spelled his name Radley, when the correct spelling, parentheses, and valuable IP trademark has always been Radley. If you fix this, everyone who signs this urgent call to action will be your best of friends for life. So, right now, at the time of this recording, we're at 46 signatures on this petition. We need to at least reach 100. So we need 54 more signatures for this to be delivered to Nintendo. We need your help.
Folks.
We need your help. Super Mario Odyssey will be out soon. We need to get this petition. There's still time. There is still time to, because what we're gonna have to fan wank this away. How are we gonna fan wank this? That the city planners of New Donk City are drunks? Like,
I'm signing it right now. Putting my email in, United States.
Thank you. Thank you for your
code,
support. Yes.
848-221.
The Nigerian princes will really appreciate that, and you'll get their money very shortly. And Radley, of course, will have his name changed.
Thank God. Now, I'm signing this because, let's see. Hyle told me to. Okay, there we go.
That just makes it sound like you're not really committed to the cause, but okay.
Okay, I'll change it. Because if it doesn't happen, I will club this baby seal. Done.
And, that's fine, because Clapper, as far as we know, is not referenced in New Donk City.
He's referenced in New York City as the one that melted the steel beams.
They have a statue of that at Ground Zero, a statue of Clapper himself. Before we get to Clapper, though, let's talk about, arguably, if Winky is everybody's favorite animal buddy when they're a kid, then they mature, once they're past superhero films and they see films like Dunkirk, then they prefer Squitter the Spider.
Dank as fuck.
Yes, there is a notorious Facebook page. I believe I got to get this right because we are sticklers for accuracy here on the Kongversation. Let me see. It is that cool ass spider with the sneakers from Donkey Kong Country 2. One of my.
They don't even say dank. That was just one of the statuses they made.
So I have pulled this up. I have pulled this Facebook page up right now. Well, let me read some of the comments here on the Facebook page. All right.
Go for it.
From that cool ass spider with the sneakers from Donkey Kong Country 2. Like them on Facebook. All right. Where all the candy go? Laugh my ass off. Spider Go app. This is good to listen to whether you're stoned or not. Laugh my ass off. And then it's a Sticker Bush Symphony. Let's see. And then they have a picture of a spider, and it says, "Before I put my sneakers on." Then there's one that says, "Love you guys." Then there's dank as fuck. Then there's good ass weed. Spittin' webs. And then there's a comment that says derp. So really the best Facebook page on Facebook, in my opinion.
Pretty much.
I mean, do I need to make a further case for it? I think not. I think not. Squitter is fucking amazing. He is the best animal buddy, in my opinion. One, he is a giant, like... he's a completely exaggerated spider. No spiders like this actually exist in nature, but he's kind of taken directly from, like, old school adventure serials, like, or Jumanji. He's like this notion that giant man-eating spiders live in the jungle. Of course, Squitter isn't really man-eating. He's a friendly spider. Granted, he has 2 eyes. He should have multiple eyes. And he's got teeth, which he's got like human-like teeth. But we're just going to overlook that. He's got 8 sneakers on his feet. And by the way, the sneakers also have DK on the tongue. So they're
a fan.
Or at the very least, maybe they are sneakers, put out by whatever the Donkey Kong Island equivalent of Nike is, the Star Company. And, they were put out to celebrate Donkey Kong's victory against K. Rool in the original Donkey Kong Country. So they're equivalent to Air Jordans or, I don't know, Jungle Kongs or something. And they've equipped Squitter with these 8 sneakers. But besides the awesome design, just the complete ridiculous gonzo design of Squitter, what makes him so appealing is the fact that he is the most innovative, not only animal buddy in the Donkey Kong series, but probably the most innovative feature of the Donkey Kong Country series, at least the original trilogy, bar none. He is a platform creator in a platform game. He creates webs that you can then jump on and walk across.
I've wanted a whole game based on this basic mechanic ever since.
The fact that he hasn't been utilized post-Rare is a crime.
John Goodman probably had something to do with it.
Yeah.
He has arachnophobia and all that.
That's right, yeah. And also, I just imagine that Roseanne Barr also, from time to time, would entrap her prey in silken spun webs, and then feast on them.
That's what happened to Tom Arnold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of punchable faces,
I don't think I would punch Tom Arnold. I don't have a beef.
You're
with
right.
Tom Arnold.
I would burn him alive in front of his kids.
Oh no! I think Tom Arnold has gotten his act together. He seems like he's in a good place right now. Good for you, Tom Arnold.
I'm proud of him. I hope he lives a long life. Just stays away from stand-up stages.
Well, I'm gonna eventually visit you, Nick, and I'm gonna walk into your living room, and you're gonna have a taxidermy Tom Arnold in a terrarium.
Or I'll have like Tom Arnold posters everywhere, and you'll be like, "You lying son of a."
Mm-hmm. For the record, Tom Arnold, I know you're listening. The Kongversation supports you 100%. We believe in you, buddy.
Even though Jim Belushi is the poor man's John Belushi and Tom Arnold is the poor man's Jim Belushi.
Wait, what? I'm gonna have to like create a chart on my corkboard here. I'm gonna have to like
do a Venn diagram. One circle represents Tom Arnold, the other represents Jim Belushi, and where they overlap is right.
Oh my God! 9/11.
Full of shit. Yes.
It all makes sense now. So anyway, Squitter, I mean, he's fantastic. And it's interesting, there was recently a Twitter, not a spat, but a Twitter back and forth between Greg Mails and Steve Mails about how Steve Mails did not believe that Squitter the Spider would work. And Greg Mails had to convince him. And ultimately, sorry, Steve, you were proven wrong. But I love seeing that little insight because on paper, I'm sure Squitter seems ludicrous. There's no other animal buddy in the Donkey Kong series that really compares with what Squitter can do. I mean, there are a lot more blunt forces as far as the rideable animal buddies go.
You just referenced Squitter, ludicrous, and blunt all in the same sentence.
It's all by design. Dank as fuck. So anyway... Squitter would come back, of course, in not just Donkey Kong Land 2, but Donkey Kong Country 3 and Land 3. I love that the Donkey Kong Country 3 team, which was a different team from the original two, were on the ball enough to recognize Squitter is cool as shit. We've got to bring Squitter back. I have nothing more to say about Squitter. I could wax... poetry about Squitter all night. I could create the most beautiful love sonnets known to man in honor of Squitter. But I'm not going to because we've got to get to a lot more animal buddies Eventually, we'll probably have a whole episode just devoted to Squitter himself because
why not?
Why not?
Maybe this should make like the original It movie and have 2 parts this episode.
Actually, it is going to have 2 parts. They're dividing the children parts and the adult parts.
Okay, at least they're still doing that. I thought they got rid of that. It's funny how the marketing campaign is hiding that, though.
Well, because the whole movies coming in 2 parts thing, Hollywood is shying away from that. There's a reason they're not talking about the second Justice League movie or the second Avengers.
I thought they put both Justice League movies together, they said.
No, that's the official line that they're giving, but they still have the second Justice League plan. Like the whole plot with Darkseid coming. Like Darkseid's not going to be in this movie. They've essentially split the script up into 2 parts because the whole part 1 and part 2 thing is not really drawing people in. Like people are shying away from it with that realization. So they're obscuring the fact that these movies are in 2 parts. They're not.
Well, we spoke about a spider. Should we be like Zack Snyder and split this one in 2?
No, absolutely not.
We can fit all of these guys in here? Okay, let's try.
Because eventually, more than half of these, there's really not much to talk about. They're not even playable. Let's move on to the lesser animal buddies of Donkey Kong Country 2. I don't want to shortchange them, but these are the some supplementary, and then a rideable animal buddy that's kind of got an asterisk next to his name. First, let's go to Clapper the Seal. Now, Clapper is not a rideable animal buddy, but he is an animal buddy that appears twice in Donkey Kong Country 2. You jump on his back, and he breathes an Arctic blast of air into water. And
it's pretty impressive for a supplemental buddy.
Yeah, and it's kind of more far-fetched than some of the animal buddies ever get. But I'm willing to just roll with it. Maybe the Kongs put a York peppermint patty in his mouth ahead of time, and that's why he was able to breathe this super chilled air. I don't know. Who's to say? I guess me, because like I'm the only one who's still talking about Clapper in 2017. But okay,
not the only one. I'm here too.
You're here too. We're the only ones talking about Clapper in 2017. Maybe we have been. Maybe we're the first people in 2017 to even discuss Clapper the Seal. I don't know. Clapper first appears in Crocodile Cauldron. He's in a partially sunken ship, and the superheated water he's got to cool down to make it possible for you to swim in. It's a really nifty mechanic. He then reappears in K. Rool's Keep, and instead, since you're in an ice cavern, he freezes the water. So it allows you to pass the Snapjaw that's swimming in the water and trying to get to you, trying to eat your sweet monkey flesh. So Michael Jackson joke goes here. Yeah.
Wait, while you come up with your own Michael Jackson joke.
Good
joke.
Yeah. Hadn't heard that one before.
Yeah.
Little boy's pants half off. Oh my God.
Tito would be furious.
So, can I just say this about Clapper the Seal?
No.
I don't know the difference between a seal and a sea lion, and I'm ashamed by that. The ears?
Ears, yep.
Which one has ears?
Seals don't have ears. Sea lions do.
Okay, well then that's why Clapper's a seal.
I read my zoo books.
Yeah, I think I canceled my subscription to my animal fact cards before I got to the seal and sea lion entries. But anyway, no, I like Clapper.
The seals and sea lions are like the Dunkirk of zoo books. You gotta work your way up there. You gotta be a true, mature elitist.
You don't get those zoo books until you're 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you watch the movie Zoo right after.
So it should be worth pointing out too. This is where the whole anthropomorphic debate about animal buddies gets a little muddied, because Donkey Kong 64 has these pirate wannabe seal characters in Gloomy Galleon that talk. The one in particular, he talks to you, you race him, He's kind of an asshole. A lot of people think that's Clapper, but because Clapper doesn't wear clothing, Clapper is just a seal. He goes,
and Clapper is not an asshole.
Yeah, we established that that's an anthropomorphic seal brought to full sentient form by, say, Taj the Genie, and his name is Weddle, which is a fandom name we pulled out of our ass. But I think even Super Mario Wiki agrees that it's not Clapper, or at least during one edit they agreed it's not Clapper. Maybe somebody came along and reestablished that, but I think...
Or it was just a different team making it, and they didn't touch base with Clapper's creator, and lots of things in that game don't make any sense. So,
well, yeah, but it's our job to shore up the canon. I mean, we are the guardians of canon / fanon when the big guys fail us. So, in our opinion, that is not Clapper. It cannot be Clapper. Clapper is just your run of the mill seal who can chill water instantaneously. You know, just like any other seal.
We need a Netflix and chill shirt with some Clapper on it. All the kids will love it.
all these great merchandise ideas. Oh, God. So there's Glimmer. Glimmer the anglerfish. Now, Glimmer...
Glimmer what now?
What's that?
Glimmer what now? I was doing my Alistair because I don't know who the fuck Glimmer is.
Glimmer is the Squawks in DKC 1 equivalent in this game. So
I'm kidding. I know who he is, but he's so unsung.
Despite being only Donkey Kong Land 2 box art, even though he was not even in that game, despite having a stage named after him. So when I mentioned light barrels, it's funny because in Donkey Kong Land 2, as we mentioned on the Spotlight episode Joe and I did last year, Donkey Kong Land 2 doesn't have Glimmer. They actually have light barrels. So Glimmer only appeared the one time in Donkey Kong Country 2. And same principle as Torchlight Trouble, except you're underwater, you're in a dark, sunken ship, and then Glimmer the anglerfish comes along and shines a light for you, providing you a path. Now, it's worth pointing out that another anglerfish has appeared in the DKU, and that's Lord Wu Fok Fok from off of Banjo-Tooie. And 2, male anglerfish are not supposed to have the bioluminescence. That is a trait of female anglerfish.
Might be a woman.
Well, Glimmer should be a female, but Rare refers to him as a male. So
maybe just in the Rare archipelago, there's male anglerfish like that.
That's basically our explanation. He is an offshoot of the anglerfish that are in the waters of the rest of the world.
It's funny, though. They like to take pre-existing, rather unsung animal buddies and then make N64 asshole versions of them.
That's a good point. Yeah. Both seals and anglerfish got it hard on the N64.
And that boss, who can forget that boss in DK64, Perry the Parallel Prick.
Mm-hmm. Right. Everybody's favorite Conker's Bad Fur Day. He was actually cut for time though. He was along with the Pikachu blowjob joke. He was cut for time.
That would have gone over real well. Yeah,
you wonder why Nintendo and Rare weren't getting along then. Of course, now there's that story that came out from Grant Kirkhope where he got drunk in front of Miyamoto. Did you hear about that?
He tried to pull down a guy's pants.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I brought that up last episode and you said fake news.
Yeah, well, Fox News reported it, so I believe it now.
All right.
Yeah. So that would be it for the Animal Buddies of DKC2 if we just went by the instruction manual and player's guides of the time. But that wasn't it. That wasn't it, Nick. There were officially one more, by DK Vine metrics, 2 more Animal Buddies. in Donkey Kong Country 2. And they were both found in the stage Parrot Shoot Panic. And they are the purple parrots, Quawks and Squawk, the either siblings or cousins of Squawks the parrot. Now, basically, these are same principle as Squawks, except they cannot fly upwards. They have no upwards mobility in DKC2. They can only sink slowly. So essentially, they allow the pun parrot shoot to be put into practice. And the funny thing about Quawks and Squawk, if I can remember their fucking names, is that they did not have official names, at least in the West, for the longest time. In the literature of 1995, they were referred to simply as Purple Squawks. And
For shame.
this was unacceptable because Swanky's Bonus Bonanza gave 2 different options out of the 3 for what is your parrot animal buddy's name. And there was Squawks, there was Squeaks, and it was Flapper. So we took Squeaks and Flapper and applied them to these 2 parrot animal buddies.
You mean Quawks and Squawk?
What's that?
Oh, you took Squeaks and Flapper originally?
Yeah. That's what we called them for the longest time. That was DK Vine lore. Come to find out, in Japan, they already had a name for one of the purple parrot animal buddies because officially Nintendo only recognizes the one purple parrot, even though there's 2 on screen at the time. Maybe in Nintendo of Japan lore, the one purple parrot is just a hologram. That would be delicious irony, wouldn't it? But they've called him Quawks, and that was made worldwide canon in Donkey Kong Barrel Blast when Quawks came back as one of the items in the game. Now, okay, so we followed suit because, yeah, even though we have our fanon, we are still willing to roll with the punches and accept when we've been bested. So,
although I'm surprised the Japanese name wasn't Wok, because that's a cooking thing in Japan.
Let's stick to the Polish jokes this episode. I'm trying to eliminate...
That wasn't racist. It's just a cooking tool that you utilize.
Yes, but it's still... Check your privilege, Nick.
It's culture specific, right?
Hashtag safe space. So
they can't
Quawks.
make American fork jokes either?
No! Well, actually, yes, because we can make fun of white people.
Because they're the only racists.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, makes sense. Okay.
It makes sense. So, Quawks was what they called the one purple parrot, but because we recognized 2 purple parrots, we had to rename Flapper. So we went with Squawk, because if you're going to have the lazy name Quawks, why not just go in the other direction and call him Squawk? And that's what we did. It's interesting that both, at least one purple parrot came back in Donkey Kong Country 3, and Donkey Kong Land 2 for that matter. Parrot Shoot Panic was in Donkey Kong Land 2, reconfigured of course, but the purple parrots operated the same way, except you transformed into them there. But you transformed to them in
Squeaks and Flapper actually become animal buddies one day. That'd be cool.
Well, I mean, Quawks, Squeaks and Flapper are Quawks and Squawk. I mean, it's.
But I'm just saying they could make a mouse named Squeaks or something, you know?
Yeah. Well,
or like
I'm
woman from the 1920s named Flapper.
Suffragettes, yes. We need more suffragettes in the animal buddy community. So, anyway, DKC3 brought back the purple parrots, as we mentioned exhaustively in our Spotlight series last November. And you transformed to them, but there they could fly. They had upwards mobility, but they could not spit the eggs. You could lift barrels with them, though, which was a nice touch. And we say that because there were 2 stages you could transform into the purple parrots. One stage was Quawks, one stage was Squawk. So
I'm surprised Cranky doesn't love them. He loves lifting barrels.
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, we also, I guess, roll with the fanon that they developed the strength between Donkey Kong Country 2 and Land 2 and Donkey Kong Country 3 to fly upwards. So good for them. Good for them. Just like Espresso, they got strong thanks to their role and as animal buddies. So DKC 3, as we mentioned, they brought back the purple parrots. They also brought back Enguarde, Squawks himself, and Squitter. But they did not bring back Rambi, surprisingly enough. Nope. Rambi was shelved in DKC 3, which I kind of love. I love that what's considered the flagship animal buddy could be skipped over entirely.
It makes the DKC3 its own thing.
Yeah, I like that, the Donkey Kong series is a series where Donkey Kong doesn't have to be the protagonist. Hell, Diddy Kong doesn't have to be there. I like that it's got
it might even be because, he's not their pet, but maybe he's more loyal to Diddy and DK, maybe. I don't know.
Possibly, yeah.
Although Dixie's rode him in DKC too. But...
Yeah. Yeah, but,
maybe he just hates Kitty. He's like, get me the fuck away from that kid. I don't need shit stains on my back.
He's like the majority of gamers in that he hates Kitty Kong with a passion.
Talk about prejudice.
Mm-hmm, yeah. What, is Kitty Kong Polish?
No, he's just a great character that gets hated.
I would like to apologize, by the way, to all of our Polish listeners or those of Polish descent.
I would like to not apologize because they're jokes. Just jokes.
They're just jokes. And to be fair, you guys need to stop constructing such poor submarines.
Well, that one wasn't a joke. That came from the heart, I could tell.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't be so hurtful. So anyway, Rambi was put on the sidelines, but we did get a new pachyderm, and that was Ellie the elephant.
The southbound pachyderm.
The first female animal buddy, by the way.
Getting progressive.
Took 2 years, but we finally got...
it's fitting. It's Dixie's game.
Yeah. A little bit of girl power there. And
a little bit of girl on girl. It was right there. I had
two girls, one barrel, yeah. So the thing about Ellie is that because she kind of replaced Rambi, Ellie was kind of viewed as kind of the flagship animal buddy of DKC3. She was promoted hard. And, I mean, it was cool. It was cool. We finally had an elephant in the DKC series.
I love Ellie.
We're still waiting for cats. We're still waiting for big cats.
I would argue Ellie's up there with Squitter as far as the most versatile.
Yeah, so what Ellie could do... By the way, it's worth pointing out, too, that Ellie was a baby animal buddy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why she's small. That's why she's not a giant like Elliot from off of Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Oh, so Squitter is a giant? So Squitter is a giant?
What do you mean?
Squitter's huge.
Well, yeah, but Squitter's a fictional jungle spider, so...
I just thought they resized the animal buddies from what they needed.
Seriously?
Yes, you have a gorilla riding on a spider. It should be the size of its toe.
Actually, well, I guess Kitty is a gorilla, but he's a baby gorilla.
I meant DK and Diddy when they rode on.
Donkey's never ridden on Squitter.
Oh, I guess you're right. Never thought about that.
Okay,
you had a Kong riding. All I'm saying is Ellie. Forget it.
Is this the Mandela effect kind of thing? Did you come from the universe where Donkey Kong rode on Squitter?
No. That was just a misspeaking. I just feel like Ellie doesn't have to be a child just because the size doesn't match up, because the spider size doesn't match up either.
Okay, but I mean, for whatever the case may be, Ellie was established as...
They said that in the actual in-game stuff? Or instruction manual? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Or maybe the player's guide. It was in supplementary material. Maybe it was on the Rare website. It was somewhere, trust me. So what Ellie could do was she could suck barrels closer to her and like pull them in like a magnet. And she could also inhale water. In some stages, she could inhale water in her trunk and then squirt it out like a water gun, and then use that as projectiles. So a little bit of the Squawks egg action, and a little bit of her own thing with the suction ability.
A little bit of Squitter in there too.
A little bit, yeah. Oh yeah, Squitter.
He could use the webs as more than just platforms.
He could, yes.
He had an alt fire, to use FPS terms.
So it's worth pointing out too, when Ellie came back in Donkey Kong Land 3, she had an infinite amount of water she could carry.
Oh, that's
useful. Which was not the case in DKC 3. She had a little water meter.
No, which was cool.
Yeah. So I love Ellie. Ellie did come back in Donkey Konga. No, Donkey Kong 1.
Oh.
Yeah. So in America and Europe, Ellie did make a return appearance, dancing in the Donkey Konga series. And that
she hadn't grown up by then?
Maybe she was just on the cusp of growing tusks. I don't know.
Do female elephants have tusks?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know why I thought they didn't. That's weird.
I looked it up. I actually looked it up when I played Donkey Konga, because I was like, shouldn't Ellie have tusks by now? Wait, do female elephants have tusks? I need to look this up. And
okay.
So that
I know
was
Justin
also...
Long has tusks, but I didn't know about elephants.
Oh, yeah, but which animal buddy would be the yoga hoser?
A moose.
When there are no moose, I get. There's a wildebeest. Well, we're gonna be talking about soon, but they're not really moose. What's the mooses? Is that right, or is it meese?
Yeah.
That can't be right.
Definitely meese.
All right. So anyway, Ellie in Donkey Konga, it's worth pointing out that was her, I believe, sole appearance alongside Rambi. So Rambi and Ellie were in the same game, and that game was
the
Donkey
Greys,
Konga.
I like to call them.
What's that?
I like to call them the Greys.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's just because you have a long-standing desire to be probed by them.
No, I'm just base people off of their color and put them into certain categories in my mind.
Oh, well, that too.
Yeah.
The other new animal buddy of DKC3, we all know him. We all love him. No, yeah. Oh, God. No!
You'll see him I put him in the show notes. Motherfucker.
No!
Nid is an animal buddy.
We'll talk about Nid with the almost animal buddies, Nick.
Oh, almost my asshole.
I refuse to acknowledge Nid as an animal buddy, you motherfucker.
Well, I will not be at your funeral. I'll be the reason for your funeral, but I won't be there.
You're going to taxidermy me like you did Tom Arnold.
You're going to be crawling with Nids in my basement, you son of a... Okay.
Perry the Parallel Bird. Can we just talk about fucking Perry real quick? And honestly, I don't really have much else to say about Perry. We talked about Perry so much on the Spotlight series we did for Donkey Kong Country 3. Perry is the weirdest animal buddy because, one, it's the first animal buddy that's explicitly fictional. You're right. It's Perry the Parallel Bird. It's such a
except for the male anglerfish, of course.
Well, and the rhino. That's a combination of all three rhinoceros.
You just didn't see Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's a thing.
Okay, all right. Well, if Paul Giamatti can do it, he was a great John Adams, so I imagine he can.
Yeah, I can do it. I'm Paul Giamatti. Yeah, I can do it.
He was great in Straight Outta Compton. I mean, yeah. I thought it was a little bit weird they cast him as Dre, but it worked. He pulled it off.
I gotta say, though, I threatened everybody on set.
So
I'm very intimidating.
Perry. What more is there to say about Perry? Perry is an animal buddy that flies parallel above your head, has no offensive capabilities or defensive capabilities. You just have to keep Perry basically with you to the no animal sign in order to get a
we
reward.
don't know that Perry is a fictional animal because Ellie. I know all the other ones are such and such and then an actual animal name. So parallel bird is not a real thing, but neither is an elephant that shoots water the exact way that Ellie does. It could be a bird of paradise.
But I think it's funnier to just assume at face value that parallel bird is Perry's species.
Perry's feces? I wouldn't want to be parallel to that.
Yeah, that would be the downside to a parallel bird, wouldn't it be? Yeah. When it shits.
I guess you just have to time it like, hey, Perry, what time of day do you take a shit? And then just have an umbrella with you all the time.
But Perry can't talk, so you would just have to be an expert on parallel bird studies.
Perry, do you shit around 1 o'clock every day? Shit once for yes, shit twice for no. That's a yes.
Maybe that's why Perry never came back after DKC 3. But the whole notion of Perry was that they would put items just out of jumping range, and Perry could then collect those items. Yeah, it was the DKC3 team thinking outside the box, which they did quite well. They took the basic template that the male Sutherland team gave them and just went crazy with it. So that was DKC3, and that...
Don't forget Nid.
We're going to talk... Okay, we'll talk about Nid when we talk about the almost animal buddies. How about that?
All right, I'll meet you halfway.
All right. Now, Donkey Kong Country 3 and Donkey Kong Land 3 were in a lot of ways the last hurrah for the grand utilization of animal buddies, because Donkey Kong 64 was the first time their roles were dramatically diminished. And I say that because there were only 4 animal buddies in Donkey Kong 64, and only 2 that were playable, and they were only playable in very, very small portions of the game.
That sucked.
Oh my god. Okay, by the way, you at home listening to this, Nick has gone mad with Nid fever. He has just, in our show notes, just made Nid extra large, and...
Hyle, that was between you and me. That's like a husband saying at a dinner party his wife's bust size or something. I feel betrayed.
I just tried to...
Not fun car ride home after this, I'm telling you that.
Uh-huh. There you go. Here.
There we go. You made it even bigger.
And you know what?
It looks like the Nine Inch Nails logo, but better.
It does, yeah.
There we go. Nid. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, this is riveting podcasting, by the way. Fun with Google Docs.
Nid is my second favorite N-word. After Neverhood, my favorite PC game.
All right.
Oh, crap. He's filling up page after page.
I want to show you I'm not biased against Nid. I just don't believe he's an animal buddy.
This must have been what the screenplay... for Mad Max Fury Road looked like, given George Miller's age. He must have needed really big font.
That's a very, very, hyper-specific, not even a joke. It was just, George Miller is old.
He was the oldest living director I could think of. There's probably another.
Yeah, well, hey.
Hey, he loves his animal buddies. Look at Babe Pig in the City.
That's right. It's so weird.
Parenthood Pig.
I always forget that he did the Babe sequel.
And Happy Feet.
Right.
That's very odd.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, Donkey Kong 64 brought back Rambi and Enguarde as playable animal buddies. You could only transform into them, though. And it was weird because you transform into them not in an animal barrel like in the Country and Land games, but in an animal crate that you jumped into and then transfer. DK64 had problems. So Rambi and Enguarde. Rambi was playable in Jungle Japes and in a portion of Hideout Helm. Enguarde was only playable in Gloomy Galleon, and then they had little bonus games on the menu that you could use them as. But that was it. Like they had like one task per world, and then they were done. And then Squawks was in the game, but Squawks served not as a like rideable animal buddy. He was kind of your
diarrhea
weird...
of the mouth, I'd call it.
Yeah, he was kind of like your spirit guide in the game.
Hyle.
Yes,
that is a
Nick?
culture, not a costume. You cannot just say words like that.
Oh my god. Am I being culturally insensitive?
Yes, you are. Spirit guide is a Native American thing, Hyle. You can't just bandy that about on a podcast between two white guys.
And I was also being offensive towards Ghost. Oh my god, that is so living privileged of me. Oh. Fuck.
MLK's Ghost is having a nightmare right now. That's all I know.
I see what you did there. Subtle, but good. So Squawks was fully dialogued in this game. He had full-on conversations with the Kongs, or at the very least, he monologued towards them. I don't think the Kongs really ever replied that much. Now, given that Squawks is a parrot, we can kind of hand-wave this away in that maybe Cranky just dictated all this garbage to him, and then Squawks flew off and recited it verbatim.
If I may cite my favorite DKU game, Diddy Kong Racing DS, doesn't that exact thing happen?
Yeah, I mean...
But from Timber?
In the instruction manual of Diddy Kong Racing, the original Diddy Kong Racing, Squawks is also used in the same capacity. So
it's like a pigeon.
Yeah. So, it's... And then, of course, the retro games, Squawks does have the parrot words. He's puzzle, So it's... I think that's what's supposed to be the interpretation, even if that wasn't what the DK64 team actually had in mind. That's clearly the way it's been settled among the fan base and even the developers of the DK games since then. So, yeah.
Can you dig it?
No, Retro, I can't, because I don't know what the fuck you're working on, because you weren't at E3 this year, and you're not making Metroid Prime 4.
Here's a JPEG of Metroid Prime 4.
So yeah, Rambi and Enguarde and Squawks, they were all... Squawks was featured more prominently than Rambi and Enguarde, though. So even though he wasn't playable or transformable or rideable in DK64, he got more screen time than anybody. In fact, the first character you see in DK64 is Squawks. So
that's true, actually.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
There was one...
Not done.
Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going. It's one of Grant Kirk.
The best part of that game is the music.
One of Grant Kirksoap's best compositions, bar none. What I want you to do now, though, is perform it as drunken Grant Kirkhope in front of Miyamoto, pulling down somebody's pants.
Pull your pants down. Don't care who's watching. Oh, hi, Mr. Miyamoto. I fucking hate Pikmin.
Pikmin wasn't even around in 97 when this happened, allegedly.
That's where he got the idea. He got it from Grant Kirkhope.
Oh, it's just his drunken ramblings.
Oh, Pikmin. Good idea for game.
Oh, offensive.
No, I'm referencing Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, okay.
It's a movie reference.
Mickey Rooney, right.
Yeah, Mickey Rooney. It's just a reference to his character doing an impression of... I would never dare. Are you kidding me? That'd be so insensitive.
Mickey Rooney, friend of the show. Or at least his ghost
Huge
is.
friend of the show.
Wait, is he dead?
Oh, he pulled a Winky quite a while ago.
By that, I I had to think. Yeah. I was like, okay, it's either the taxidermy thing or something to do with his penis. And because I don't think Mickey Rooney had anything above 2 inches.
He pulled a wrinkly while pulling his winky.
Okay.
Yeah.
My God.
R.I.P. Legend and racist Mickey Rooney.
To be fair, he wasn't racist. He just...
It came from a different time.
A different time. He had to get paid somehow.
Can you believe... Back then, people had pets. Can you believe that?
I know. But before, they let chimpanzees in their homes. Rip off their faces.
That would be awesome if the next Smash Brothers had like a move for Diddy called Face Rip. I know he's not a chimp, but...
Okay. I was about to scream at you.
No, I know he's not a chimp, but you corrected my ways.
All right.
Because there's a big difference. Chimps have personality.
Oh, fuck you! Fuck you!
Oh. Yeah. I know how to push your buttons.
You know, we did that episode, the character witness about Diddy Kong. You know how I feel about Diddy Kong.
You know how I feel about Diddy Kong.
I love Diddy Kong more than I love Polish jokes.
We're in agreement here, baby. Don't worry about it. What character is this undoing? I don't know.
At first, it sounded like Austin Powers, so I was a bit confused.
It sounds like a erudite gay New York businessman. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I then figured out you were doing the Love Guru, so.
Oh yeah, my favorite Mike Myers performance besides Tommy Maitland.
My favorite Mike Myers performance is probably Halloween 4 or Halloween H2O.
Oh yeah, now you're cribbing jokes from Edgar Wright movies. Real nice.
Yeah.
Baby Driver had that joke.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen Baby Driver because
me neither. I've only seen the trailer.
Because Ansel Elgort. What? I really want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, that name should be reserved for photographers and hunchbacks.
Donkey Kong 64 had one new animal buddy, and he's been saddled with a fan name by us. But to be fair, back in the day, Lee Loveday did give us permission to name the unnamed Donkey Kong 64 characters because they couldn't be asked to do it. So it's a tadpole. Now, I don't know why the DK64 team didn't just fucking use Glimmer. They had a bad habit of not using the assets they had.
Well, I've always stood by that this is quite obviously referencing that DK64 is a prequel and that it was actually Winky.
Glower the tadpole, right? He's a tadpole, but he's got one of those like flashlight like headbands, like
he's a glower and a shower.
Anyway, he's got it strapped on his head, and in Gloomy Galleon, in the actual Gloomy Galleon, he swims behind you and does what Glimmer does in DKC2.
He's kind of like the flashlights on the heads of the little moles in DKL.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Or like the renders from Donkey Kong Country that had Donkey Kong having the miner hat with the headlamp on it. I've always wanted to see Glower actually like come back as like a hybrid between Winky and Squawks. So a really dark cave level, you have to ride this frog who still has the headlamp strapped to him.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. By the way, Super Mario Wiki calls him Lightfish, even though he's not a fish. He's a tadpole.
Weird.
Yeah. Because Nintendo's Donkey Kong 64 website referred to him as a lightfish. And because of that, Super Mario
Why don't we
Wiki
use
calls
that,
him
though? Isn't that word of
Lightfish.
God?
No, because for one thing, he's not a fucking fish.
Well,
and
duh.
Lee Loveday,
But maybe that's his name.
Lee Loveday extended word of God to us on this matter. So you know what? Glower.
Neither is the band Fish, but they still are called Fish.
Fish. I don't care if you have a Ben & Jerry's ice cream named after you. You're never going to be as good as the Grateful Dead. And I don't even like the Grateful Dead.
That's really saying something. For you, they are the Jim Belushi of Tom Arnold. Something like that.
That analogy was spot on and beautiful.
You
really.
enjoy myself.
So that was it as far as the rare era for Animal Buddies. And I say the rare era for Animal Buddies when, like, as if the Animal Buddies have gone on to great things since then. There were a whole slew of fresh Animal Buddies that Donkey Kong Jungle Beat introduced. And,
like
of course, what's that?
Like the banana?
Not the banana.
Oh.
Now, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat referred to them in its instruction manual as Jungle Buddies. But it should be pointed out that Animal Buddies is a term that was only used initially in Donkey Kong Country 2. It's what Donkey Kong Country 2 referred to them in their the credits, in the character parade, as Animal Buddies. Every other Donkey Kong Country game has referred to them as something else, like the Good Guys or what have you.
Isn't Jungle Buddies a Spike Lee joint? It's not racist. He has a film called Jungle Fever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they're...
Tread lightly.
This is a minefield, and I'm you know what? I'm going to I don't want to. I'm going to make like Heather Mills and just advocate against this minefield because I don't want to step on a mine and have one leg.
Fever, that's what I came. I wasn't making an animal comparison. That's all on you, my friend.
Oh my God.
Just edit this part
So
out.
anyway, just because they're referred to as Jungle Buddies in the instruction manual does not mean they're not Animal Buddies. This is. There's no reason to segregate them. Shut up,
here
Nick.
We go again,
Shut up.
Hyle. Come
Shut
on.
up, Nick. Shut up, Nick. So let's be upfront about the Animal Buddies of Jungle Beat because these are all clearly XPs of Rare's Animal Buddies. Sometimes they add something new, but
do you want to define XPs for new listeners or people that like using actual words?
I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm trying to, speak internet lingo because we're on the internet and I'm trying to relate to the youths. But, okay,
what if some
Grandpa,
true DKC fan hasn't played a game since DKC 3? And so he also has barely used the internet. So he found this somehow and he's really confused.
Basically, fill-ins, replacements, cheap imitations.
Okay.
So,
and if you're listening, that same person, Green Porn City, is not what you think it is. But welcome to the internet.
The Jungle Beats team's ethos was Rare's characters aren't fresh enough for 2004/2005.
Yeah,
but
they probably stuck their foot in their mouth by saying that.
Oh, they really pissed off us hardcore country fans. So they came up with replacements for Rambi, Enguarde, Squawks / Quawks, and I don't know. I don't
certainly have names, which we will now list.
Yes, I don't dislike the Jungle Beat Animal Buddies. I like them quite a bit, and I would be fine if they came back if they were integrated with the rare Animal Buddies. But these are all natives of the faraway lands of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. So they're off far away from Donkey Kong
I didn't know there was
Island.
a giraffe in Jungle Beat. Oh wait, I'm reading the wrong part of the show notes. I'm sorry.
You are. You're sorry, because I did 7 pages of nid, and you lost your place.
It's okay. Let's just talk about the next Jungle Beat Animal Buddy due diligence.
All right. Hoofer the Wildebeest was the replacement for Rambi. By the way, the Jungle Beat Animal Buddies had different names in Japan and Europe, but when the new Play Control version of Jungle Beat came out, they all reverted to their American names. So Hoofer was called Mushin in Japan and Europe. The Moosh served Donald Trump for 10 glorious days. So Hoover's kind of... I'm sorry?
I was just going to say a Hoover in Tweeter's clothing, but no one will get that reference.
Hoover's kind of the Rambi or Ellie of Jungle Beat, and he's what most people think of when they think of Jungle Beat's animal buddies. Orko the killer whale. Now, despite having an O at the end of her name, Orko is a female.
Yep, just like
she's got
Carla the whale. That's not an insult to Carla. Carla the whale from Rayman 2.
Okay.
Oh wait, that's Carmen the whale. Anyway, whatever. There's a female whale in Rayman 2. It's what always makes me think of when I think of Orko.
Okay, well, you completely botched that. Orko, we know she's a lady because she has babies. And you can actually jump on and ride her babies too.
Well, you completely botched that.
Well, it's a crime to molest children, let alone killer whales, because they're endangered. So, it's bestiality, it's pedophilia, and it's breaking environmental laws. It's a threefer.
Zoo on DVD. Check it out.
Mm-hmm. That's right. So Orko's original name in Japan was Shachi?
What?
Shachi. I don't know. I'm just.
Hyle loves Shachi?
It means penis in Korea.
Oh. But was there that sitcom, Somebody Loves Chachi?
Joni Loves Chachi.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Spin-off from Happy Days.
Great show.
And then Scott Baio really stuck his foot in his mouth when Erin Morin died recently, saying she was a drug addict, even though she did not die of a drug overdose. I believe she died of cancer. So
she did. He wrote about it on his law blog. It was really rude of him.
Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, Orko. Unlike Enguarde, though, not a complete replacement for Enguarde in that Orko could jump out of the water. Her whole gimmick was she couldn't she didn't barge things with her nose, but she swam really fast underwater, and then she jumped out, and you could leap out of the water with her. And her babies, too. And so her babies are pseudo animal buddies. Her babies are considered drones, I guess, but Orko is considered a single solitary character.
What's the baby's name? Tilikum?
There's lots of I forget how many babies she has. I've actually never counted them. Weirdly enough, you'd think that'd be something I would do because I am a sick man. But
that's what I do to help me fall asleep. I count.
You count
whales.
Yeah. Well, there's Free Willy, and there's Free Willy 2, Free Willy 3. There's the fourth Free Willy with Steve Irwin's kid.
There's Shamu, Tilikum, that asshole from Street Sharks.
Was there a killer whale in Street Sharks?
Oh yeah.
Was that the enemy?
Yeah, the animated show.
No. But was that who the Street Sharks fought? Was that
No, he was one of the sharks. Yet he's not even a fucking shark.
Seriously?
I'm looking it up. I remember the action figure. Let's see.
There's a Batman villain that's based on a killer whale.
Who's that? Killer Moth?
No, it's let me see. Orca. So not Orko, Orca. It was a marine biologist who mutated into a killer whale. And
okay, his name is Moby Lick. I'm not making this up, and it looks like he is one of the Street Sharks, or at least an ally of the Street Sharks. Let's see. Is there a Street Sharks wiki? If there is, that'd be hilarious.
Oh, there should be.
There is streetsharks.wiki/wiki/Moby Lick. Jets Taylor was another one of Dr. Paradigm's failed experiments. Let's see. Jets Taylor is a friend of the Bolton brothers. Paradigm sought to create something strong enough to take on the Street Shark. Oh, maybe he was an enemy at first. Blah, 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 blah. Hadn't been for the jealous, Moby Lick could very well have gone on to be one of Paradigm's most deadly allies. However, as he was locked in a building with the sharks in some great degree of heat, he somehow managed to sweat the serum out of his body realizing that he was fighting Clint Bolton, one of his oldest friends, backed off. Instead, he became a powerful ally to the sharks and helped to combat Paradigm on a couple of occasions. Oh, that's interesting.
I'm looking up Moby Lick on the Street Sharks wiki, by the way. There's comments on the bottom of it. And,
Whoa! Where did the anal sex accusations come from? A fandom user. Some moron editing the wiki. I fixed it.
Well,
what's the story there?
We better fix that because,
yeah,
as we all know, on the zoo bonus features, there is a Moby Lick analingus.
There is. It was pretty weird.
I like this one comment too. I like you, Moby Lick.
Yeah, as a response to, killer whales eat sharks. Yeah, which is why Pyranoid created a mutate based on one. And then someone said, I like you, Moby Lick. That was probably the creator's daughter or something.
Yeah. Jesus.
And you will notice his human form is a black guy. It's sort of racist. Like blackfish and all that. Like, come on.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. That's what got people up in arms about that documentary.
That's why Street Sharks was canceled.
That's what you heard. You heard it. You heard it on the streets where the sharks lived.
Yeah. I thought Hard Sharks was going to be the sequel. It was kind of like Pokemon meets Street Shark. I was very disappointed.
Okay. Can we get to the flying squirrel?
Oh, yeah. R.I.P. June 4A.
Flurl the flying squirrel, Nick. He was called Ressar in Japan. Resser? Okay. Resser. I don't know. Sounds like a Toho like Godzilla enemy. Godzilla, like somebody Godzilla was fighting.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
Or
So Flurl is it's a red flying squirrel. Doesn't really look too much like a flying squirrel, but it's a red flying squirrel.
Great name. Always... They just combine the two words.
Right. So always sleeping. And actually, Flurl is kind of a replacement, not for Squawks, but for Quawks or Squawk. In that it basically you just like float with Flurl, but you can also like ride like air jets and then like go back up into the sky. So a little bit more versatile than Quawks as seen in Parachute Panic. Now, they're like Quawks. There is a second flying squirrel that you can encounter in one of the stages. So we've named that Sky. S-Q-Y. We just did the whole Quawk Squawk thing, and we took flying squirrel, but we reversed it from Flurl. Sky. It's pretty shit, right?
Yeah.
So, let's move on to the retro era. We don't have much to talk about here, right?
Are you kidding me? We have so much to talk about. We have... Oh, yeah.
Well, we have a lot of animals to talk about, but unfortunately not much to actually go into in depth. Rambi came back, and he was the only rideable animal buddy in both Returns and Tropical Freeze. Squawks was there, but all Squawks does is Cranky sells them to you, and Squawks sniffs out puzzle pieces for you. So, yeah. Now, Donkey Kong Country Returns has a whole bunch of animal buddies in the game, but they're not actually animal buddies. They're referred to as the Kong's animal friends, and they're the ones who get hypnotized in the opening story by the Tiki Tak tribe and they are used as pack animals to take the banana horde, and then they show up throughout the game
in the background.
Well, it bugs me that they didn't use the pre-existing animal buddies. I like that some of these animal buddies, like we finally got a giraffe and a zebra and what have you.
We don't get to use them or anything.
No, there is one. There is one arguable animal buddy that you do get to ride.
Professor Chops.
No. We'll get to him last. So there's
Okay.
Canopy the giraffe. By the way,
Cool.
all these names are from DK Vine. Canopy was given to us by DK Viner M Dog.
Also,
Michael
Rayman 2 level
Julius
called the
Peterson.
Canopy.
Canopy the giraffe was his
His favorite.
dream animal buddy when he was
Yeah.
a kid. So we, in tribute to him, we called this giraffe.
It's a perfect
Canopy.
name. I don't know what it has to do with it, but it's perfect somehow.
Because a giraffe's neck, the giraffe's neck is so tall it
that makes
extends
sense.
to the canopy of the rainforest. Makes more sense than Winky, that's for sure.
I don't know about that, but okay.
All right, Zygmunt the zebra.
Oh, what creative mind came up with that gem?
Probably Matt Corna or Jeff Onen.
I mean, I'm not surprised. It's so great. It's amazing.
Seriously, is this sarcasm?
Well, I was just pretending to change my tune when I heard it was someone else. I thought maybe it was you.
Oh, no. I did name Elliot the elephant after
Your old friend.
my old friend, yeah. It made sense. He was a male adult elephant, full on tusk. And if we have an Ellie who's female, let's name him Elliot with 2 T's.
No,
Matt
Zygmunt's a fine name.
I like how you tried to cover your tracks here. Oh no, Zygmunt's the best name ever. Zygmunt's my
Actually,
favorite
that's
animal
what
buddy.
I was doing before for comedy. Now I'm just straight up being honest. But
Oh, okay.
it
All
was
right.
missed. It was the listeners will have understood my tone.
Matt definitely named this one Cyril the squirrel. Cyril. I think that's how you pronounce Cyril. Yeah.
Makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I mean, the pronunciation makes sense.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's a little red squirrel who doesn't look. He looks more like Nabnut from Banjo-Kazooie than he does Conker, but just a little squirrel, just a wild squirrel who gets hypnotized. And then there is Krill the whale, and this is the one animal buddy, new animal buddy in the game that you can ride. And
Really?
yeah, in
don't remember that.
the beach world, there's that the whale. He comes up and out of the water, and you ride on his back, and then he dives, and you have to get off of him,
Wow, I totally forgot that.
and then you can ride his the water spurt from his blowhole up. Yeah,
Krill's awesome.
yeah. So
Doesn't he? Does he return in the second one, or is that
nope.
a different whale?
No, there are no whales in the second one.
I thought there was a giant
Squidicus.
eye in the back of one of the water levels, or is that the octopus just looking through?
You're thinking Squidicus, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, those are the animal buddies that are. I like the notion that there are animal buddies who have never seen action. Like the Kongs have befriended more than just the playable, rideable, transformable animal buddies or the supplementary animal buddies, but they've befriended so many animals that not all of them have ever actually gone on adventures with them. So I kind of like. I wish some of the other animal buddies would have shown up in Returns and Tropical Freeze, but I like that we finally have a giraffe and a zebra, and I'm willing to.
Can't always get
accept
what you
it.
want.
You can't always get what you
quote
want.
John
Donald
Lennon.
Trump's campaign's theme. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about abortion, Nick.
Citizen Ruth, great film.
So we know, thanks to Greg Mails on the Twitter, that they planned, or at least had concepts for numerous animals in Donkey Kong Country before they settled on the ones we got. So some of them have names, some of them don't. Do you want to read through these?
Sure. So first we have a beaver.
Yeah, a beaver who could burrow into the ground.
I'm assuming.
Actually, no.
Nobby.
That was the mole. The beaver could gnaw on trees. And
Yeah, please read the show notes correctly, like a professional.
I'm sorry. I had to get through the 17 pages of NID propaganda.
Like the power. Then we had Miney Mole, who's kind of like one of the DKL moles previously mentioned, but an animal buddy, and he was playing for the game as late as March 1994. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What level would he have been used in?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
It's kind of a Yoshi's Island sort of thing. They had a thing that could do that.
A little bit, yeah.
Let's see what we
it
got
also
here.
It also reminds me of Super Mario Brothers 2, where you had to dig.
Yeah, or Dig Dug, or I mean Mr. Driller.
Right.
Dolphin.
Mr. Driller is your street name when you sell your body.
Yes, that is true. How did you know that? Do you own a limousine?
Look, let's not get into this right
Do you
now.
fucking own a limousine?
I own several!
Do you only pay in $5 bills and make people wear bags on their head while they fuck you?
Look, a lot of people do that.
Oh,
okay?
Good point. That's probably could have been
common
anybody.
thing.
That could have been anybody.
Yeah.
All right, so we have a dolphin, snorkel, rest in peace. Hammerhead shark, street sharks, rest in peace.
Right.
It looks like the hammerhead kind of evolved into Enguarde.
Right, and the bird concept later became what Squawks' role was in DKC 2.
Sure.
So
Flying pig, I love that. Turned into Hogwash, who I love as well. Where's the flying pig on the scanned paper though?
It's in there. It says pig that
also flies.
That pig that DK can sit on, and it flies.
That would have been
Doesn't
insane
have wings,
in the first game.
But yeah, I'm glad they toned that shit down.
Yeah.
They saved the weirdness for Donkey Kong Land. Yeah.
Elephant became Ellie. Giraffe became Canopy. But
Well,
if they were to use the giraffe actually in game, it would climb the neck to reach high areas. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Sort of what Perry does actually, without climbing.
A little bit, yeah.
Hooter the owl concept became Squawks Roll in DK64. Okay, so it's just an info. Oh, that would have been very Zelda-y also.
Yeah, the owl would just basically give you information.
I'm glad we got our first owl in Tropical Freeze. I love those owls.
It's worth pointing out there was an owl in Donkey Kong 64 that you had to race, and we called him Hooter. And then come to find out, Hooter was what they were going to call the owl in.
Interesting, great minds.
And Hooter the owl was planned for the game as late again as March 1994. So,
another fun fact: Candy Kong was originally going to be named Hooter.
Yeah, I like in one of the other documents we know Hooter was his name because it was in one of the other documents that Greg Mail shared, and there's a little note on there that they hoped they could get away with calling him Hooter, so it was clearly a reference to tits.
Yeah, it also said alternate title if not allowed: tits. Tits the owl, every 90s kid's favorite character.
Only 90s kids will understand this owl.
Only 90s kids should. Snake. So that must have been Radley eventually.
Oh, no. There was a fox.
Oh, a fox. So there's a snake. No, just kidding. Fox concept later became Squawks. Oh, okay. Interesting. So he could help find stuff.
Yeah, so they had an idea for a fox.
Swiping.
They had this idea for the fox was the fox would burrow and find secrets for you, just like Squawks would in Retro's games.
Wow, they must have really liked this character. They made a whole game out of him eventually. Anyway, Flamingo. Wow. Okay. Let's see.
Let's talk about the snake was
Radley.
The concept of the snake was that you could climb it like a rope.
Oh,
so
that's interesting. Like Indiana Jones.
So it wasn't even like Radley. Yeah.
Flamingo, long-legged bird that DK rides on to travel Okay, so Espresso.
It became Espresso. Yeah.
Grasshopper. Knows Kung Fu. That's interesting. No, I'm just kidding. Frog was used instead. Okay, so the grasshopper would have been Winky.
Yeah, the grasshopper could jump, yeah.
They should have had a grasshopper named Dennis. That would have been awesome. Let's see. Woodpecker. that pecks holes in tree, allowing DK to climb it. Now, there's something like that, isn't there?
Well, there's woodpeckers in DKC3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't climb on them. I'm thinking
No, well,
of
they
Nid.
get stuck in the trees, and then you could jump on them.
I'm thinking of Nid, aren't I?
Oh, God.
He's a platform as a character. Squitter made platforms. Nid is a platform.
Okay. Calm down. Calm yourself. It's interesting to point out that so many of these concepts were later recycled, not just by this team in DKC2, but also by the DKC3 team, because the elephant the elephant concept is basically Ellie verbatim. So it's interesting that when the DKC3 team took over, they like clearly looked at these notes and were like, okay, what can we use?
Sure.
That's where they got banana birds from too, because banana birds were all sorts of banana animals were planned in DKC2.
So you really can't blame a new team for all the wackiness. Those ideas were straight up males. Now, he ultimately decided not to go with them.
Right.
So maybe it kind of was they should be responsible for them, but, you know, at least he thought it was a possible idea.
Yeah. And then, but it's also interesting to me that some of these ideas were then used not just in DK64, which was essentially the DKC3 team, but also Retro would also, utilize some of that. So just the similar wavelengths when trying to come up with what animals can do in a Donkey Kong game. It's cool. Now, let's talk about one animal buddy who had a model all ready to go, but it was ultimately cut from the game.
Rambunctious.
Yes. Rambunctious.
I wonder if he's Rambi. It's just too similar to Rambi in name.
Rambunctious was a ram with giant's horns on his head, planned for Donkey Kong Land. We know there's some debate for some time whether he was supposed to be an enemy that was scrapped or whether he was actually an animal buddy. We found out recently that he was supposed to be an animal buddy.
Oh, that's rad.
But ultimately never made it into the game, probably
because
because
in the mountain level, right?
Well, ultimately he was just too similar to Rambi, I feel like. And maybe at one point they didn't plan for Rambi to be in the game. They were just going to jungle beat it and have original
I would have been all
buddies.
for that.
Well, I think the only advantage Rambunctious would have had over Rambi would be maybe he could have gone up like steep surfaces. Like,
sure.
That would have been interesting. But yeah, Rambunctious was never made it into the game, along with Commuter Kong. Now let's talk about the animal buddies that are not really animal buddies, but people will, like you, will get on our cases if we don't bring them up. These are either enemies that could be used for your benefit, or they were just weird environmental things that were never really clarified as animal buddies, but some people like to consider them to be animal buddies. Or they were just merely drones that aren't singular characters, but are considered animal buddies by some official sources. So let's Donkey Kong Land again. There, in the boss fight against the World 2 Kremlantis boss, Giant Clam.
My favorite boss in the game.
There's a small clam or oyster thing that appears in the corner, and you have to bounce off Giant Clam's projectile pearls off of it back into Giant Clam. We view this just as like this critter that's kind of living in the stage, but I can see some people's argument.
What's a critter
that,
doing
no.
there?
No, it's critter with a C. Oh. That should have been obvious because I pronounce critter like critters with like as critter, but I pronounce critter as critter. Come on, Nick.
Let's call the whole thing off.
So anyway, I can see why some people would say this oyster thing is an animal buddy, but it's never really been considered as such, and it's if that's the hill you want to die on, have at it. But I can't be bothered. I have to argue about holograms and Squawk and Sky, so I have my own battles to fight. DKC3, I guess, has two of them. There's Nid. You want to talk about Nid? Well, I go slit my wrist.
Nah, I'm good.
There's also the one Nibbler who is fed cocos in Fish Food Frenzy. It's weird that Lockjaw with the big chin doesn't eat cocos, as we've seen in late night NBC. Did you hear about this? Did you hear about the Jay Leno reference to the late night wars of the 2010? Did you hear about this? Oh yeah. Right.
I mean, I heard Ice-T eats Coco. Isn't his wife's name Coco or something?
I really don't know.
All I know is he's a Republican.
Wait, you mean to tell me this guy gets off on a woman named Coco? Anyway, so Fish Food Frenzy, he's an enemy because if you don't keep him well fed, he will turn on you. He'll change color and he will attack you. So I think an animal buddy has to be defined as being friendly towards the Kongs at all times. This is clearly just an enemy drone who you can use to your benefit. People do argue he's an animal buddy because there's a no animal sign at the end of the stage, but keep in mind he also doesn't transform. He doesn't like go away and transform into a reward. He just stops at the sign. And because of that, I would argue he's not a genuine animal buddy.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I know people on the DK Vine forum are really like, I believe it's M-Dog, who's very, very pro Nibbler, but unfortunately, I just can't get on. Oh God, I was gonna say I can't get on the Nibbler train. Fuck you, Tracky Train.
Get off the train, huh? I'm a supporter of people with mental illness. I think Nibbler might just have bipolar disorder.
As somebody who does suffer from bipolar disorder, I take offense at that, Nick.
I prefaced it by saying I support people with mental illness.
Nope. Too late.
I have mental illness.
Too late.
Oh, fuck you.
I'm offended.
Who isn't now, dude?
I know. Well, not the Nibbler supporters on the DK Vine forum, that's for sure. They're really offended by what we just said. Finally, there's the Hellabirds from off of Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. And the Hellabirds are actually considered genuine animal buddies, but there's not just a singular Hellabird. There are multiple Hellabirds. There's the whole flock of Hellabirds. And they basically serve the same role that Squawk serves in DKC2 and DKC3. So they're worth noting, but they're also drones. There's not just one Hellabird. So they're animal buddies, but they're also not. There's not just Hellabird. There's just multiple Hellabirds. So I include them in the almost animal buddy list. Your mileage may vary. We're almost done, Nick. We're almost done in this mad journey of listing things. But we've also got some enemy animal buddies to talk about. Some Kremlin animal buddies. The Kongs aren't the only ones who have animal friends. There are, there's only two types of Kremlin animal buddies. There's a parrot and there's a whole shit ton of ostriches. So Screech from off Donkey Kong Country 2 is K. Rool's kind of dark mirror of Squawks. And of course, Squawks races him in Screech's sprint. I love that when K. Rool is cosplaying as a pirate, he has his own parrot.
It's pretty great.
And I love that he's named after Dustin Diamond at that. So I want Screech to come back at some point. I feel like Screech is I love his design. I love that he's basically a Squawks.
I literally thought you meant
cute.
the Saved by the Bell character. I was like,
oh yeah.
Oh, you didn't hear? I don't think he'll be taking a stab at the role anytime soon.
Oh no, I love Screech's design, man. Those tight curls, the the too tight pants, the
lanky body,
the tight sphincter.
Hyle.
Yeah, I know. His robot probably took his anal virginity in season 1. Remember he had a robot? Remember that?
To quote the Street Charts wiki, what's all this accusation of anal sex?
So there's also the Kremlin racing ostriches from off of Donkey Kong Country 2 Game Boy Advance. All of these characters actually had names in the game, and we asked Lee Loveday on Scribes to please give us a master list of all of the character names, and he did it. Do you want to read all of these, Nick?
Yes. The green ostriches, Aftershock, Beardy. So we have, okay, we know what that reference is.
Mm-hmm.
Chewy, Punch It Chewy, Humpty, Do the Humpty Hump, Misty, Play Her For Me, Monsoon Bassoon is an underrated band, Tinky, sounds like a Teletubby reject, Bungle, My Ass Is on Fire.
Oh, wait, these are the blue ones, the blue ostriches.
Oh, yeah, sorry. The blue ostriches, Bungle, My Ass Is on Fire, Minogue, I'm an Australian pop diva, who duetted with Nick Cave and had breast cancer, I think. Hope she's doing well.
She is doing well.
Mima, Racist, Ozzy, Throw Up the Devil Horns, Rapido, Racist, Ripa, Regis's favorite, Zippy, sounds like a lighter, and the red ostriches, Flicky, Sega's Gonna Sue, Loopy,
Loopy with an I.
Yeah, Life with Loopy, or was that what that was called on Kablam?
Life with Louie.
Louie, okay. M. Bassi, that sounds like a Street Fighter character. Papa Laz, what? Papa Laz, is that Papa Roach's cousin? Smokey, Prevent Forest Fires. Sneakers, great Xbox game starring mice. And Tremors, Kevin Bacon.
Right.
So that's a
Kevin
lot
Bacon,
of... Yeah, go ahead.
Kevin Bacon also has a huge penis. Him and Dick Cheney.
Oh, really?
You've never seen Kevin Bacon's dick?
No, I've only heard of, what's his name? John Hamm, Liam Neeson.
Oh, yeah.
These are the ones I've heard of.
Yeah, Fassbender.
Fassbender, of course, Shame.
You can't bend that one too fast.
No shame in that.
All right, Nick, let's take some calls. A lot of people wanted to call in about Animal Buddy, so we're going to be here for another 7 hours, I'm sure. Let's just get right to it.
Hey, this is Brandon, who is like Logfrog on the forum. I haven't called in quite some time, but I saw the topic was Animal Buddies, and I decided to, hey, why the heck not? You know, I love Animal Buddies in the Donkey Kong games. Some of my favorites include Enguarde the Swordfish, Ratley, Quawks, there's also, Rambi's pretty cool too. But, I think my absolute favorite would have to be, Squitter, the spider. Like, there's just something, like, about him that, like, really captivates me, I guess. But, like, it's like, I really like his design because, like, I do cartoons, and, like, his design kind of, like, is in a similar vein to, like, how I design some of my characters too, like, the big eyes and, like, the teeth especially, and, like, the shape of his head. Mostly that. It's nothing too major, but, like, that's the reason I like him, because, like, this is a cool design, you know. But, my second point is, like, Tropical Fees honestly has a disappointing cast of Animal Buddies. Like, I was expecting more than just Rambi and Squawks again. Like, I think it would have been cool to have, like, you can have Rambi in the second world, and, you know, like, and then Espresso in the third world. Does it make sense to be, like, a savanna? So he can run around really fast in it. In the water world, like, I'm surprised they didn't bring back Enguarde for that one, which actually, in my head canon, Enguarde actually died during the BP oil spill. That's why he never showed up in any of the recent games. But, that's really it. I'll see you soon.
You know, you mentioned Enguarde dying, and it brought to mind that in Donkey Kong 64, before it came out, we saw pictures of Cranky's lab, and we saw what looked like a swordfish skeleton on his wall. And I thought for sure Enguarde was going to actually be canonically dead.
Pull a Winky.
Of course, then. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, about the Animal Buddies in Retro's game, a big missed opportunity was the fact that Donkey Kong Country Returns was all about the animals of Donkey Kong Island getting hypnotized. We brought this up before, but would have been amazing had, instead of like Mugly as the World 1 boss in Returns, what if that would have been Rambi? What if Enguarde was the boss of World 2?
Or any of the new animals, and then afterwards you got to use them.
Yes.
It would have been like,
I think
sorry to go here, but Rayman 1, the first boss, you beat him, and then he instantly becomes your friend, and you ride him in the next level. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, it was a huge missed opportunity. And I think Brandon called in again, so let's hear what else he had to say.
All right.
Oh, sorry about that. I forgot to bring up a point that I forgot to do. I'm not sure if you guys still have the 3-minute time limit still, but like, anyways, my point is that if we were to get DKC 6, what are you guys' ideas for some new Animal Buddies? Like, just like, you know, it's a chance to be creative, you know? Like, what would you do? Like, it could be something crazy, or something simple. That's really it. Sorry to bug you guys, but I'll try to call in more often. I'll try. But, see you soon, though. Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah, you're really bugging us, Brandon, in that we solicited calls for this episode, and you called in. How dare you?
Yeah, you're really needy, Brandon.
I know. God. I'm gonna just change the DK Vine hotline to an unsolicited number. Just let people figure it out. Have it be a guessing game. They're just gonna have to dial every combination of every number. That's a good question, Brandon, and I think we're gonna save that after the calls. We're gonna reveal basically the thought experiment. If somebody's making a third game in the Returns line of Donkey Kong Country games, maybe it's retro. Could be Monster Games, or it might be a completely new studio, but they would be using the retro style model for Donkey Kong Country. And let's say they would come to us and ask us which Animal Buddies we would want to see in the game and how they should be used. So we'll get to our selections for that after the calls, of which we have a third. Let's hear it.
Hi, unknown caller again. I just wanted to say, in terms of Animal Buddies, there's really no equal to Squitter. I mean, he shoots out platforms you can stand on. How cool is that? Right, bye.
Unknown caller, love Squitter. Nothing more to say. Thanks for the call.
Whenever I go back to DC, in my home state, I love to visit the Tomb of the Unknown Caller. Yeah.
That's one of our 12 jokes, Nick. So I'm glad we could check that one off.
Oh, I hadn't heard that one before.
Oh yeah. It's been a while, but I'm glad now it's been dug up. You know, one time I dug up the unknown soldier because I wanted to know who he was. Couldn't find a body though.
Hey DK Vine, this is Unaverage Joe calling in for the Animal Buddy episode. One of the things that kind of struck me as odd is their absence in Tropical Freeze. Now, I get the real reason they were included. Cranky's Pogo Jump was pretty close to Radley's, the Kong's swimming ability have greatly improved to the point where Enguarde is moot. And my personal, and I think everyone else's favorite, Squitter, has a bit too slow of a gameplay pace to keep up with the retros. Though I still think Espresso would have been good, but whatever. I'm looking into an in-game reason of their absence. My headcanon is that all except Rambi were hypnotized in return, but I can't think of a good reason why in Tropical Freeze. Originally, I believed that Rambi was the only one tough enough to break out of the ice, but that giant bat in the cave couldn't break out of the ice, and he's huge. So help me figure out a good reason why they couldn't help, so they can get back in my good graces. If I was one of the Kongs, they would be ammo acquaintances at this point. And which of these turncoats would you like to see in Donkey Kong Country Baja Blast? Is it still Baja Blast? I don't know. I guess it would be Donkey Kong Country USA. Whatever. Thanks, guys, and keep up the good work.
It's always going to be Baja Blast. We are never calling it Donkey Kong Country USA. God.
We already explained their absence. They were on Noah's Ark.
I don't know. I can't think of a good reason right now, quite honestly. Like, that might have just been Frozen. Rambi was blown off the island with the rest of them, and everybody else was frozen. I guess that would be the simplest explanation.
But the bat, Hyle, the bat.
Well, the bat was frozen.
Yeah, but like he said, if the bat can't break out of the ice. Oh, I guess I see what you're saying.
Because if Rambi was blown off, because you first encounter Rambi in Autumn Heights World 2, so he was blown off the island with the Kongs, as was Squawks. So, yeah, I would imagine that like everybody else was probably either frozen or hunkered down trying to keep warm somewhere away from the ice. So I guess that works. It's the same until we get a handheld remake of Tropical Freeze where we learn all the animal buddies were involved in weird underground racing or like pit fighting or something of the sort. Actually, now I really want to see that.
Yeah.
So get to work, Monster Games. All right, another call. Let's hear it. What do they have to say? Probably about animal buddies, I'm guessing.
Hey y'all, this is Swanky Mamanky, calling from Alabama, and that does not mean that Trump is my fault. Don't generalize like that. But I'm here to say that Ellie is the best animal buddy for many reasons. One, I love her model and the way she has this, like, she fits perfect with Kitty because they both have this, like, wide-eyed, innocent, yet eager to explore, see the world. Oh, God, I sounded really fucking redneck right there. My bad. But, yeah, they both have this same adventurous personality. It's those giant fucking eyes, and I love it. They go together like DK and Rambi, man. And I love her barrel and water gun mechanics. Bob and Barrel Brawl and Stampede Sprint are two of my absolute favorite levels in the series. And, fuck it. I like fighting Squirt. Everybody fucking hates Squirt, but I fucking love Squirt, man. That also sounds pretty bad out of context. I like her, the fear of mice, even though it was only used as a gimmick and twice. But, I fucking love Stampede Sprint, like I just said. But, actually, I'd like to see all the animal buddies have specific weaknesses. Obviously more important than how Ellie's came into play, but thoughts and speculations on that would be pretty cool. And the absolute worst animal buddies are Glimmer and DKC1 Squawks. Simply because I'm epileptic, so Torchlight Trouble and Glimmer's Galleon fucking sucks to play through. I usually have to get my girlfriend to play through those levels. I'm like, nah, fuck that. And Hoofer and Orko prove that the redundant can be resplendent. Quick footnote, Hyle, real quick, what you think about that 13th Doctor Who? And other than that, that's all I fucking got to say, y'all. I'm gonna go pack another bowl. Bye, y'all.
Well, thank you for the call. I believe first time caller is Swanky Mamanky.
Yeah, he's awesome. First of all, sorry about last episode. All the redneck Kong talk. I hope we didn't offend you.
Oh, yeah. Whoops.
Secondly, thanks a lot for Trump. And thirdly, I want, fuck it, I like fighting squirt on a t-shirt as soon as possible. This guy's great.
We'll see what we can do with that, yeah. Real quick, 13th Doctor Who, I'm all for it. I'm excited about it, despite my jocular comments earlier in the episode.
Wait, Hyle, you said something you didn't mean this episode as a joke?
I know. Turns out, Nick, I actually hate Donkey Kong. This is all just an elaborate ruse. No, with the 13th Doctor Who, I really like the whole... I know, like, that's not going to be her, like, costume with, like, the hoodie and stuff, but it really, like, made me think. I really hope she's actually got, like, some sort of cloak. I think that would be a cool visual. She had, like, some sort of, like, Stevie Nicks, Crystal Visions type get-up. The whole, like, she's walking through the woods thing, if she was, like, in... like new agey, in tune with nature,
and
or something.
I see my reflection in the TARDIS glass.
No, I'm excited about that. I mean, Peter Capaldi has been great, and I'd love to have another like 5 years of Peter Capaldi. But if he's got to go, I'm glad they're shaking it up like this. So we'll see.
I'd like to. Hey! What about my opinion on the matter?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. He asked me, but go ahead, Nick.
Well, I mean, this is a give and take relationship, pal. Swanky Mamanky.
That's not what you said when you had the bag over your head.
I didn't say much of anything. I had a dollar bill shoved in my mouth.
It's $5, but
that's true.
That's fine. You can't keep up with our own complex continuity. That's fine.
Never mind.
Anyway, yeah, we didn't bring up Ellie's weakness, her fear of the sneaks, and which we brought up on the Spotlight episode, and as we brought up there, the Mythbusters actually showed that has some plausibility in actual nature, that elephants are scared or at least startled by small rodents.
I thought the White Stripes proved that.
I'm not that familiar with the White Stripes. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's one of the holes of my musical knowledge.
Just move on.
So anyway, if the other animal buddies had weaknesses, what would they be? We can't go through all of them because that takes apparently over 3 hours.
Squitter would be the cops because he smokes so much weed.
Oh, right. Well, apparently so does Swanky Mamanky. So,
oh hell yeah!
I'm surprised he didn't like Squitter more than Ellie.
He hates Boss Hogg, and by that I mean the animal buddy that was planned to be released.
What else? I don't know. I guess Rambi's weakness would be poachers looking for his ivory.
Winky's would be the grave.
Orko would be SeaWorld.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Winky's would be poor hit detection.
Canopies would be M-Dog, because M-Dog would be chasing him around with like fan art, really creeping him out.
Doing a charcoal etching of Canopy. Yeah.
Perry the Parallel Bird would be, let's see, basically like right angles.
Mm-hmm.
Hates right angles.
Naturally. A skyscraper. That's the reason you don't see Perry the Parallel Bird in Big Ape City or New Donk City.
It's also the reason we lost the towers.
Thanks a lot, Clapper. Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call, Swanky Mamanky.
Yeah,
please call again.
Yeah, this is Brittle Nipples Kevin here, and I just want to say, Squitter is best animal buddy. Best. Squawks, man, that guy's like freaking terrorist, probably. And Winky the Frog, clearly a pedophile. Squitter's the shit, though. Best animal buddy, says Brittle Nipples Kevin.
Well, there you have it, Nick. The brittle nipples have spoken. It's Squitter.
Wasn't that a joke of ours?
You named him.
I did?
You named him Brittle Nip. Yes.
When he said that, I started laughing. Like, I like this guy. I like his sense of humor. I didn't even know the guy I liked was me. I think I like me.
This is a breakthrough for you, Nick.
Holy shit!
You've suddenly discovered a well of self-esteem.
I have to cancel a lot of therapy appointments. Nah, I'll still go. I mean, she's hot.
How are her nipples? Brittle?
Hyle, that is too far, and that is objectifying a woman. Please.
Oh.
It's one thing to call a licensed professional hot, but then to speak of the consistency of her areolas is a step too far.
Well, you are a professional. I don't know if you're licensed, but...
I'm a professional. I'm a Republican.
One more call, and then we can reveal who or what animal buddies
I like how we're
we
teasing this. It's like one of those shows where it's like, and stay tuned, because at the end of this episode, you'll see.
Right. If this was the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, it would be, stay tuned for celebrities playing beer pong.
Stay tuned for a musical comedy bit where Jimmy steals the show and wants to show off how he really wanted to be a musician.
Mm-hmm. Bask in the glory as Jimmy Fallon shows how he picked up chicks in college by playing the guitar like a douchebag.
Bask in the glory of Jimmy Fallon drunkenly breaking his hand while trying to punch you.
And then laugh with America as Jimmy Fallon breaks his other hand because of his alcoholism.
Then chuckle with Queen Latifah in the back seat of this romantic comedy, Taxi. He was in that movie.
Yes. And then stay tuned on CBS for James, what's-his-face? Fat Fuck McGee.
Hey!
James Corden?
No fat jokes.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I know a fat guy.
Apologize.
It's just very offensive.
I apologize to our corpulent listeners. Stay tuned for James Corden on CBS as Queen Latifah joins him in the backseat of his car for carpool karaoke.
Stay tuned as Seth Meyers joins them to remind everybody he's a thing. Still a thing.
And then is Carson Daly still on? Probably. Carson Daly. You've probably fallen asleep with the TV on.
Stay tuned as Craig Kilborn kills himself.
No, Nick. 5 questions. That's all. That's all I've got. That's the only reference I have to Craig Kilborn.
You know,
okay.
Kilborn makes me think of abortion.
Well, his career also makes me think of that.
Oh, good.
Call.
Hey guys, Malik calling in for this episode all about Donkey Kong's animal buddies. Now, I've liked pretty much everyone introduced, but some of my favorites are Rambi, Enguarde, and Squawks. These guys are the holy trinity of buddies, always proving useful through sheer speed, power, and versatility. And in any Donkey Kong game truly worth a crap, they always show up somewhere. Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, DK64, and Barrel Blast had all 3. And the retro games may have omitted Enguarde, but the other 2 still pulled their weight. I never would have found all the puzzle pieces without Squawks, I swear. And Rambi's always reminded me of a big friendly dog, especially with his idle animation in the first game. Now, to switch things up, one kind of animal I would like to see used in the future, if there were to be more games with animal buddies, would be a tapir. Something that could run like Rambi on land and swim underwater like Enguarde, as tapirs love water, you see. Not to replace those 2, of course. Just, switch things up. Do something unique in a level, like something... DKC3 had a couple of those levels where you would have, like, Enguarde and Ellie, but I could combine the 2 and just into a tapir, and then, yeah, we could have some unique situations from that. Also, Winky, he has a soft spot in my heart. Anyways, that's just those are my 2 cents on the Animal Buddies, just showing my appreciation. And speaking of which, I really hope that Radley petition goes through, because what Nintendo did, spelling his name wrong, that is unacceptable. Let me tell you, they are not going to hear the end of that. All right, guys. Talk to you later. See ya.
Thanks for the call, Malik. And that's dkvine.com/Radley with no E. Malik really wants a taper. I've never considered a taper.
Yeah, he said it would be a mix of like Rambi and Enguarde. It could also be a mix of Ellie because it has like that snout. It could suck up stuff.
You know, I just looked up tapers on Google image search to try to just like visualize it. The 4th image are 2 tapers having intercourse.
Oh yeah, those are called sex tapers. You got to pay for that stuff.
Oh my god, the taper has a huge winky. Look at this. No, do it. Look, Google image search taper.
All right.
Taper sex.
This will be the first time I've ever Googled it. He lied.
Look up taper sex.
Taper sex. Oh, whoa. Damn.
What is that? What is that?
Oh, whoa. Look at row 4, picture 5. I mean, yeah, 5. It's a taper fucking espresso. Double penetration.
Oh, but espresso is also sucking the taper's cock.
Exactly.
What the fuck, internet? What the fuck? All right.
Malik, is this why you wanted a taper?
I mean, I could see why you could say it would be a combination of Rambi and Enguarde, because he's got the horn.
He's got the horn.
All right. Well, now we know who Michael Fassbender would play in Malik's hypothetical Donkey Kong movie.
Wow. Fast taper.
All right. Captain Cheesebag in the live stream chat says, I can't decide if I regret searching that with you guys or not. It's horrifying, but I can't look away.
He already had it on his history. He's so timid.
And now when your data is sold to corporations around the country, everybody will know you love taper cock.
Yeah, next time you get on Facebook, on the side there'll be an ad. Something you might be interested in. Taper lubricant.
Yeah. Now, granted, bestiality is wrong, unless the taper is sentient, but
Hyle, I think from my tone of voice earlier, I was clearly being serious when I said it was okay.
Okay, let's not get into this discussion again. We're going to have to save the whole is bestiality okay argument for a whole conversation. It can be like a 3-parter. But, okay, Nick.
Taper sex, the episode.
The makers of Donkey Kong Country Baja Blast have come to us, and they've let us choose which 5 animal buddies, old or new, we want to see in their game. So I've got my list. I prepared it ahead of time, as did you.
Yep.
I'll read mine first.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
With justifications for each one.
Yes. Let's bring back Rambi. I don't really feel like I need a justification. He's been there in the first 2 retro games. I feel like Rambi works well in the retro games. Let's bring it. That's one. Number 2, it's Enguarde. Let's bring him in. Function like an underwater Rambi. He should have been there in Tropical Freeze. Let's make Squawks playable. Let's make him function exactly like he did in DKC 2 and DKC 3. Vertical flying stages. Let's bring those into the retro style games. They can be more bombastic. They can be faster. You know, they can redesign them. But I feel like it's an avenue they haven't explored.
They could be like aerial dogfights.
Yeah,
straight out of Dunkirk.
Squitter.
Our list
gotta have
is
Squitter
very
in there.
similar.
Squitter can function exactly like he did in DKC 2 and DKC 3, a platform-making machine. You can like speed up how fast he can make platforms. He can make more platforms. You know, you can change it as needed, but I feel like Squitter, the fans love him, and it's original gameplay that is that can only enrich the series. My 5th one, by the way, I have a little bit of a cheat here. I do have 6, and that's because if Squawks is playable, that means we got to have somebody sniffing out the puzzle pieces. So let's make Quawks the puzzle piece finder. But for my 5th playable animal buddy, I chose Canopy the giraffe. And essentially exactly like he was envisioned by Greg Mayles for the proposed giraffe animal buddy in Donkey Kong Country.
And dog.
Yes, like a moving rope, like Perry the parallel bird, but with more versatility. So Canopy is my choice. Let's make Canopy a fully functional animal buddy. There we go. What did you come up with?
5, right? Didn't you say 6?
5, and I included Quawks. Quawks is the puzzle.
All right, so I came up with 2 that were returns, and then the rest were all new ones, just to shake things up a little bit.
Shake it up, yeah.
So the first one's Rambi. Nothing needs to be said. It's not a DKC game if Rambi's not in it. Next is Enguarde.
Oh, you hate DKC 3 then?
Oh, I meant I think of Rambi and Ellie as the same thing.
That's racist towards pachyderms. Why are we so offensive tonight?
I'm sorry. Some of you go north, but no, I love Ellie. When
you said I put a bag over your head, I think you meant a clan hood.
Yeah, or a towel, and then you called me a racist term. Anyway, so the next one, Rambi, because of course, I know Ellie is in DKC3. It's my favorite of the series. I just, she fills the same big gray role. It's not racist. It's just an animal. Are you still with me?
I'm still with you. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just hoping that the Zeta Reticulans who are listening to us aren't too offended.
Is that a new word for
by all your gray bashing?
Oh, the gray thing. Yeah. Well, hopefully aliens aren't listening either. I mean the ones from space. God.
Ah!
All right. Enguarde, because it's about time.
It's about damn time.
Now this one's a cheat. It's a twofer. You considered Quawks a separate, but this is a twofer because it's a symbiotic relationship between these two, but they act as one. Their names are Nicky and Icky. And Nicky is a necky, because I figure, hey, not all neckies are bad. Maybe there'd be a good one, a turncoat, so to speak. But an actual animal buddy. And Icky is a dead Kong. And vultures tend to, hover around dead animals. So what it does is you're riding on Nicky. Nicky is carrying Icky, and you can drop Icky on enemies. And then you can pick it back up and drop it on enemies. Nicky and Icky. The next one, we had Winky as a frog, but I'm thinking, how about a toad? And this one is a Suriname toad, which is a specific kind of toad that is super flat, like a pancake, and lives deep underwater. You ever seen one of those?
Yes, I have.
This one you use as a surfboard on top of the water.
Okay.
And it has these little holes in its back where its egg lays its eggs. So what you can do is, like, if you do like a hang 10 or whatever, like hold it up, it can shoot its eggs out of its back.
Wow, that's okay.
Okay, so that's how many so far? 4?
It's 4.
Okay.
Well, not including Icky.
Oh, not including Icky. Now the next one is I didn't name the Suriname toad. His name's gonna be Nam.
Nam?
N-A-M, like I fought in Nam. Because he's a Suriname toad. Is that an okay name?
Yeah. And unlike those who fought in Nam, he's going to be siding with the Kongs.
Exactly. Wait, what? Oh, I get it. Oh, that's a good one. Wow.
That was a great one.
That was a great one. Next we have... let me think of a good name here.
Improv, baby.
We have... I'm just trying to think of Flick. His name's Flick. And he's a tick. And you never know when he's on screen because he's so small. So he's actually randomly generated in every stage he's in. But he's like a pixel, basically. And if you pass that pixel, suddenly DK or whoever you're playing at will start like kind of itching his back. Like in his idle animation. That's how you know you've picked up Flick. And what you can do basically is when you choose to, press a button, you take him off and squish him, and then shoot your blood at the enemy. He has one use only. He's kind of like a Starman, except there's no signifier of when you get him, and he doesn't have invincibility or anything. It's just a one-use thing.
But unlike a Starman, it would be one use in the game.
Oh, yes. There's only one in the whole game.
Now, what happens if the head gets, like, stuck in the Kong's body?
What do you mean?
Well, when you pull out a tick, they say, be careful because you can get their head
that will become
be ripped off.
That will become ammo for Nicky when you're writing him. He can spit that at people. It'll show a little icon in the corner if the head's stuck on. There's like a 50% randomly generated chance that the head will stick on, and if so, it'll show the little head icon in the corner. That way, if you get a Nicky, you can then press a button to spit the head.
Well, there you have it, Retro Studios.
Well, I have one more.
We don't know what you're working on. Wait, you cheated.
No, I didn't.
You cheated then.
No, I didn't.
That's 5. You have Rambi, Enguarde, Nicky and Icky.
But I said Nicky and Icky are 1.
Yeah. And then the tick. So that's 5.
Oh, fuck. Let me do... I thought we were doing 6.
No, 5.
Oh, I have 6.
Who does 6? 5 is a nice odd
Let me just
number.
say my last
Who
one.
Who does an even number?
Let me just say my last one.
Okay.
All right.
I cheated. I had quacks. Go ahead.
In the background, occasionally from the bushes, you will see eyes peeking out. If you're lucky, this thing will jump into the foreground of the screen, and it's a human being. And it's a castaway named Hanks. And you can ride him. And he throws spears and volleyballs.
At least Hanks would be one of the A-listers, as I said.
Yes, this is true.
Although, I think we really need a taper named Fassbender to help draw the crowds.
If they're into that kind of thing.
Let me check my book. They are.
This has been a File 2 production.
Que rico.